amidst the ceaseless hum of the modern world. A pervasive sense of restlessness often settles within us, a quiet unease beneath the veneer of constant activity. We chase after aspirations, accumulate possessions, and endlessly scroll through the lives of others. Yet the elusive prize of true contentment remains just beyond our grasp. Have you ever felt like you're perpetually running on a treadmill, expending immense energy, but somehow never reaching a discernible destination? This relentless pursuit of something external, something just out of reach, often leaves us feeling more depleted than fulfilled. We build impressive careers, curate perfect online personas, and strive for societal recognition, believing that these achievements will finally usher in the promised land of happiness. But what happens when we attain them? All too often, the joy is fleeting, leaving behind a familiar void, a silent question. Is this all there is? The contemporary landscape, with its rapid advancements and interconnectedness, paradoxically fosters an alarming rise in stress, anxiety, and even depression. We're bombarded with information, pressured by unrealistic expectations, and constantly comparing ourselves to an idealized, often unattainable standard. This creates a relentless cycle. We seek happiness in external validation, in the next promotion, the latest gadget, or the approval of others. Yet, these external sources of joy are inherently impermanent. They arrive, they dazzle for a moment, and then they recede, leaving us scrambling for the next temporary fix. Think of the pressure to always be on, to maintain a perfect image on social media, or the gnawing worry about job security in an ever-changing economy. These pressures chip away at our inner peace, leaving us feeling adrift in a sea of our own making. We believe that if only we could control every variable, acquire every desired object, or achieve every ambition, then, finally, we would be happy. But life, in its very essence, is unpredictable, fluid, and inherently beyond our absolute control. This fundamental mismatch between our desire for permanence and the impermanence of existence is the root of much of our suffering. But what if there was another way? A path not of frantic external pursuit, but of profound internal discovery. What if the peace and lightness we yearn for aren't found in acquiring more, but in letting go ancient wisdom, distilled through centuries of profound contemplation? Offers a different perspective. Buddhist philosophy, far from being a rigid dogma, is a practical roadmap for navigating the complexities of human existence. It doesn't ask you to abandon your life, but to transform your relationship with it. It introduces us to powerful concepts like letting go buông bỏ, mindfulness chang niệm, and awakening ting thuk, not as abstract ideas, but as tangible tools for cultivating a more serene and resilient mind. This journey isn't about escaping reality, it's about seeing reality with clearer eyes, understanding its true nature, and finding inner liberation amidst its ebb and flow. It's a journey towards a happiness that is not dependent on external circumstances, but blooms from within. A sustainable and gentle peace that can withstand the storms of life. Join us as we explore this timeless wisdom, unlocking the secrets to a lighter, more joyful existence. One where true happiness truly is an inside job, the very foundation of Buddhist philosophy. A profound wisdom that has guided countless individuals toward liberation. Begins with a stark yet liberating realization: life, in its essence, contains suffering. This isn't a pessimistic declaration, but rather an honest observation, a diagnostic step towards healing. The Buddha's core teaching, encapsulated in the Four Noble Truths, serves as a timeless framework for understanding our existence. Just as a physician first identifies an illness and its cause, the Buddha begins by acknowledging dukkha, often translated as suffering. However, dukkha is far more nuanced than simple physical pain or emotional distress. While it certainly encompasses these, it extends to a deeper, more pervasive sense of unsatisfactoriness, impermanence, and inherent imperfection that permeates all conditioned phenomena. Imagine holding a perfectly crafted sandcastle, admiring its intricate details. The joy of its creation is undeniable, but inherent in its very nature is the certainty that the next wave will wash it away. That subtle, underlying knowledge of inevitable dissolution, even in moments of beauty, is a form of dukkha. It's the feeling that nothing truly lasts. Nothing can offer permanent solace. We experience the dukkha of pain, the physical ache of illness, the sharp sting of loss, the emotional pang of disappointment. Then there's the dukkha of change, the fleeting nature of happiness, the gradual decline of youth, the shifting sands of relationships. What brings us joy today might bring sorrow tomorrow, simply because everything is in flux. And finally, there's the most subtle and pervasive dukkha of conditioned existence itself, the inherent stress or tension in simply being, in having a body and mind that are subject to arising, decaying, and passing away. It's the constant yearning for something more, the underlying sense that something isn't quite right. Even when everything appears to be in order in our modern lives, this pervasive dukkha manifests in myriad ways, often disguised by our relentless pursuit of external solutions. We live in an age of unprecedented connectivity, yet many feel more isolated than ever. We accumulate possessions, driven by advertisements promising happiness, only to find the novelty fades, and the desire for the next thing quickly takes root. The relentless pace of work, the constant pressure to perform, the fear of missing out FOMO fueled by curated social media feeds. These are all contemporary expressions of dukkha. We chase promotions, believing a higher title will bring fulfillment. We upgrade our phones, convinced the newest model will bring greater joy. We strive for external validation, hoping that others' approval will finally make us feel worthy. But beneath it all, the underlying feeling of restlessness, anxiety, and a gnawing dissatisfaction persists. We are caught in a cycle of seeking, grasping, and then inevitably feeling disappointed when the external object or experience doesn't deliver the lasting happiness we crave. The second noble truth, samudaya, delves into the origin or cause of dukkha. The Buddha pinpointed this cause as tanha, which translates to craving, désir, or attachment. This isn't about desiring basic necessities like food or shelter, but rather the clinging and grasping that arises from our desires. It's the insatiable hunger for things to be other than they are, for pleasures to last forever, for pain to never arise, for the self to remain unchanging and substantial. The Buddha identified three main types of craving: kama-tanha, sensual craving, the craving for pleasurable sense experiences, delicious food, beautiful sights, pleasant sounds, comfortable sensations; We become addicted to these fleeting pleasures, and when they are absent or change, we suffer. Bhavatana, craving for existence, becoming the craving to be, to exist, to continue, to become something more. This is the drive for success, for recognition, for a lasting identity. We want to perpetuate pleasant experiences and avoid unpleasant ones. Vibhava tanha, craving for non-existence, annihilation, the craving for things to stop existing, to cease, to be annihilated. This manifests as a desire to escape unpleasant situations, to end suffering, or even, in extreme cases, to cease to be. Consider the modern individual caught in this web of craving. We crave a perfect body image, leading to endless diets and body dysmorphia. We crave constant entertainment, filling every quiet moment with distractions. Fearing stillness, we crave social acceptance, tailoring our lives to fit external expectations, rather than cultivating inner authenticity. This constant craving is like being in a desert, perpetually thirsty, and mistaking mirages for oases. We run towards them, believing they will quench our thirst, only to find they dissipate upon approach, leaving us even more parched. The more we chase, the more elusive true satisfaction becomes, because we are constantly clinging to phenomena that are inherently impermanent, anicca, and not self-anatta. We grasp at shadows, expecting them to be substance, and inevitably face disappointment. The wisdom here is profound. Our suffering is not arbitrarily imposed upon us. It arises from specific, identifiable causes that lie within our own minds. It's not the external event itself that causes suffering, but our reaction to it, our clinging to it, our desire for it to be different. If we spill coffee on our shirt, the actual event is neutral, but our internal dialogue, "Oh no, my day is ruined, I'm so clumsy. Why does this always happen to me?" is what generates the dukkha. The stain itself is fleeting. Our attachment to a perfect, stain-free existence is what causes the distress. The Buddha's insight is revolutionary because it places the power to alleviate suffering firmly within our grasp. By understanding the root cause of our unhappiness, this pervasive craving and attachment, we are empowered to begin disentangling ourselves from its grip. It's not about denying pleasure or avoiding life, but about changing our relationship to these experiences, recognizing their transient nature, and releasing our desperate need for them to be permanent or to fulfill an unfillable void within. This understanding, this deep insight into dukkha and its origin, is the crucial first step. It's the clear-eyed diagnosis that illuminates the path forward, a path we will now explore in detail, moving from the recognition of suffering to the profound possibility of its cessation. Having clearly identified dukkha, the pervasive unsatisfactoriness of existence, and samudaya, its root cause in craving and attachment, the Buddha then offered a beacon of hope, the third noble truth, nirodha. This truth asserts that suffering can be ceased. It is not an inherent, inescapable condition of life, but rather a solvable problem. Nirodha signifies the complete eradication of craving, the letting go of attachment, leading to a state of profound peace and freedom known as nirvana. Imagine a tangled knot. Identifying the knot and understanding how it was tied is the first step. Nirodha is the realization that the knot can be untied, that its tightness isn't permanent, It means truly liberating ourselves from the cycle of desire and dissatisfaction that fuels our anxieties and distress. This cessation isn't about denying the existence of external events or emotions. It's about changing our relationship to them. When the craving for things to be different dissolves, the suffering that arises from that craving also vanishes. It's like finding a permanent oasis in the desert, no longer chasing mirages. It's the moment of profound relief when the endless pursuit finally ends, and you realize you were already home. This state isn't a distant, mystical realm. It's a profound shift in consciousness, accessible through diligent practice. It's the ultimate healing, the complete and utter relief from the burden of our self-imposed mental suffering. But how does one achieve this profound state of liberation? This leads us to the fourth noble truth magga, the path leading to the cessation of suffering. This is the practical, actionable blueprint for transforming our lives, known as the Noble Eightfold Path. It's not a set of rigid, moralistic commandments, but rather 8 interconnected aspects of practice that, when cultivated together, lead to wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Think of it as a comprehensive training program for the mind, body, and spirit, designed to systematically dismantle the roots of suffering and cultivate genuine peace. The Eightfold Path is often categorized into 3 broader divisions: wisdom, panna, encompassing right understanding and right thought. This is about seeing reality clearly and cultivating beneficial intentions. Ethical conduct, sila, comprising right speech, right action, and right livelihood. This focuses on living harmoniously with oneself and others. Mental discipline, samadhi, including right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This pertains to developing mental focus and tranquility. Crucially, the components of the Eightfold Path are not sequential steps to be completed one after another, but rather interconnected facets that support and reinforce each other. They are like threads in a finely woven tapestry, each essential to the whole. For instance, right mindfulness deepens right understanding, and right understanding, in turn, informs right action. This holistic approach ensures that progress in one area naturally fosters growth in others. The Buddha presented this path not as a dogma to be blindly followed, but as an experiential journey, inviting individuals to come and see for themselves, to test the teachings through their own practice. It's a path of self-discovery and transformation, not mere intellectual ascent. Let's use an analogy. Imagine you are suffering from a debilitating illness. The 4 noble truths are like the complete medical process. Dukkha, suffering. You recognize you are sick and acknowledge your symptoms. Samudaya, origin of suffering. The doctor diagnoses the specific disease and identifies its cause. Nirodha, cessation of suffering. The doctor informs you that this disease is curable. Magga, path to cessation. The doctor prescribes a treatment plan, medication. Tudit, exercise, therapy, which, if followed diligently, will lead to recovery. The Eightfold Path is that comprehensive, step-by-step treatment plan for the mind, designed to alleviate suffering and cultivate a profound sense of inner well-being. It's a pragmatic approach, focusing on what works to reduce dissatisfaction and increase genuine happiness. It moves beyond theoretical discussions to provide concrete practices for daily life. For instance, practicing right mindfulness, being present and aware, helps us see things as they truly are, which deepens our right understanding, comprehending impermanence and non-self. This understanding then naturally leads to right thought, cultivating thoughts of kindness and non-harming, which in turn influences right speech, speaking truthfully and kindly, and right action, acting with compassion. All these aspects require right effort, diligent application, and contribute to right livelihood, earning a living ethically, culminating in right concentration, developing a focused and calm mind. The beauty of the Magga lies in its universal applicability. It transcends cultural, religious, and social boundaries because it addresses the fundamental human condition, whether one identifies as Buddhist or not. The principles of the Eightfold Path offer practical guidance for anyone seeking to reduce stress, improve relationships, find inner peace, and live a more meaningful life. It encourages self-reliance and personal responsibility, emphasizing that our liberation from suffering is ultimately in our own hands, cultivated through our own efforts and understanding. It's not about seeking salvation from an external deity, but about cultivating wisdom and compassion within oneself. As we embark on this journey through the specific components of the Noble Eightfold Path, remember that each aspect is a stepping stone, supporting and complementing the others. There is no shortcut, no magic pill. It requires consistent effort, patience, and a genuine desire for liberation. But the profound peace, clarity, and genuine happiness that await are immeasurable rewards. This is not a path of deprivation, but of profound enrichment, not of self-denial, but of authentic self-discovery. It is the path to truly living with an open heart and a clear mind, free from the incessant tug-of-war of craving and attachment, leading directly to the ultimate freedom that is nirvana. Our next step is to delve into the very first elements of this transformative path: right understanding and right thought, the cornerstones of wisdom. Having laid the groundwork with the Four Noble Truths and introduced the Eightfold Path, we now arrive at its very bedrock, the wisdom section. Beginning with right understanding, samaditthi, and right thought, samasankappa. These two components are the guiding lights of our journey, illuminating the path forward and ensuring our efforts are directed toward genuine liberation, not just temporary relief. Imagine setting out on a long voyage. Right understanding is your compass and map, showing you where you are, where you want to go, and the fundamental principles of navigation. Right thought is the clear intention to steer your ship in the correct direction, avoiding hazardous currents and distractions. Without these, even the most diligent effort can lead us astray. Right understanding is far more than mere intellectual knowledge or agreement with Buddhist doctrines. It's a profound, experiential insight into the true nature of reality, particularly as revealed by the Four Noble Truths. It means truly grasping, at a deep, intuitive level, that life involves suffering, that this suffering has identifiable causes rooted in craving and attachment, that it can be ceased, and that there is a path to achieve this cessation. This isn't about rote memorization. It's about seeing these truths play out in your own life, recognizing the patterns of desire and dissatisfaction as they arise. Consider the concept of impermanence, anicca. Intellectually, we all know that everything changes, seasons shift, people age, possessions break, feelings come and go. But do we truly understand it? When a beloved object is lost, or a relationship ends, our suffering often stems from our unconscious expectation that things should have lasted. that they should have remained constant. Right understanding penetrates this illusion, allowing us to acknowledge change without clinging to what was or desperately grasping for what might be. It's like watching a river flow. You know the water you see now will soon be gone, replaced by new water. And you don't lament its passing. You simply observe its continuous movement. This perspective fosters a deep sense of acceptance and reduces the shock and pain of inevitable loss. Similarly, right understanding embraces the principle of non-self anatta. This is often one of the most challenging concepts to grasp, as our entire society reinforces the idea of a solid, permanent I, or me. We identify strongly with our thoughts, emotions, body, and experiences, believing them to be the core of who we are. But right understanding suggests that what we perceive as self is merely a collection of ever-changing physical and mental phenomena, arising and passing away. There's no fixed, independent entity pulling the strings. This doesn't mean you don't exist. It means you exist as a dynamic, interconnected process, not a static entity. When we truly understand this, the grip of ego-driven desires, fears, and pride begins to loosen. The suffering that arises from defending my opinions, protecting my possessions, or upholding my image starts to dissipate. We become less attached to outcomes because there's no fixed self that needs to be validated or protected. Right understanding is also about seeing the interconnectedness of all phenomena, recognizing that our actions, thoughts, and words have consequences, both for ourselves and for others. It's the understanding of cause and effect, of karma, not as a rigid system of reward and punishment, but as the natural unfolding of conditions. When we grasp this, we naturally incline towards wholesome actions and refrain from harmful ones, not out of fear, but out of a clear understanding of their inevitable results. This understanding is dynamic, not static. It deepens with practice, particularly through meditation and mindfulness. It's not about being lectured to, but about direct, personal realization. Imagine two farmers. One merely reads books about agriculture, memorizing facts about soil and weather. The other studies the books, but then goes into the field, observes the soil with their own hands, feels the wind, understands the plant's needs through direct experience. The latter possesses right understanding. Their knowledge is lived, not just learned. They see the underlying principles at play, not just the surface phenomena. In life, right understanding means observing your own mind, your own reactions, your own suffering, and seeing how it aligns with the Four Noble Truths and the principles of impermanence and non-self. This self-observation, free from judgment, is the crucible where true wisdom is forged. Flowing naturally from right understanding is right thought, samma sankappa. This refers to the cultivation of pure, wholesome intentions and aspirations, free from greed, hatred, and delusion. If right understanding is seeing clearly, right thought is thinking in alignment with that clarity, steering your mind towards liberation and away from the patterns that lead to suffering. It's about consciously directing your mental energy towards beneficial pathways. Right thought can be broken down into three primary aspects. Thoughts of renunciation, nekkhamma sankappa. This isn't about abandoning everything or becoming an ascetic, but about letting go of craving and attachment to sense pleasures. It's the intention to free oneself from the relentless pursuit of gratification. It's the realization that true joy comes from within, not from external acquisitions. In modern terms, it's choosing conscious consumption over endless materialism, finding contentment in simplicity rather than constant upgrades, or recognizing that social media validation is a fleeting distraction from genuine connection. This thought liberates us from the endless hamster wheel of desire. Thoughts of loving kindness, metta sankappa. This is the intention to cultivate goodwill, compassion, and friendliness towards all beings, including oneself. It's the aspiration for others' happiness and freedom from suffering. Instead of thoughts of anger, resentment, or ill will, we consciously choose to generate thoughts of warmth and benevolence. This transformative shift in perspective can dissolve conflict, foster healthy relationships, and create a more harmonious inner landscape. When facing difficult people or challenging situations, instead of immediately resorting to judgment or anger, we intentionally cultivate thoughts of understanding and compassion, even if it's just a whisper of "May they be well. May they be free from suffering." This proactive cultivation of positive emotions protects our own mental well-being. Thoughts of nonviolence, harmlessness, avihisa sankappa. This is the intention to refrain from causing harm to any living being, whether through thought, word, or deed. It extends to all forms of life, recognizing the interconnectedness of existence. This means consciously choosing peaceful resolutions over aggression, opting for kindness over cruelty, and recognizing the impact of our actions on others in a world often driven by competition and self-interest. This thought guides us towards empathy and a deep respect for all life. It's about choosing not to participate in cycles of harm, even in our thoughts, which are often the precursors to harmful actions. Right understanding provides the map, and right thought determines the direction of our journey. If we misunderstand the nature of the path, or if our intentions are clouded by greed, hatred, or delusion, we will inevitably stray from the goal of liberation. These two aspects of wisdom work in concert. The clearer our understanding of reality, the easier it becomes to cultivate wholesome thoughts. Conversely, by actively cultivating wholesome thoughts, our understanding deepens, creating a virtuous cycle that propels us forward on the path to genuine peace and freedom. This wisdom isn't just for meditators or monks. It's a practical, powerful foundation for anyone seeking to live a life of greater clarity, compassion, and enduring happiness in the midst of modern challenges. With this foundation firmly established, we can now move to how this wisdom manifests in our words and actions. Following the cultivation of wisdom through right understanding and right thought, the Noble Eightfold Path guides us toward ethical conduct sila, beginning with right speech samavaka and right action sama kamanta. These aren't merely moral injunctions. They are practical applications of our developing wisdom, tangible ways in which our inner transformation manifests in the world. Imagine having a clear map, right understanding, and a firm intention to follow it, right thought. Now, right speech and right action are like the very steps you take and the words you speak as you walk that path. They shape your journey and your interactions, determining whether you move closer to peace or inadvertently create more obstacles. Right speech is about recognizing the immense power of our words. Words, seemingly ephemeral, have the capacity to build or destroy, to heal or wound. to foster unity or sow discord. The Buddha identified 4 aspects of unwholesome speech to avoid, and their wholesome counterparts to cultivate, abstaining from false speech. Musavada Veramani. This means speaking the truth. It's not just about avoiding outright lies, but also about refraining from exaggeration, pretense, or withholding information when silence could lead to misunderstanding or harm. In an age of misinformation and curated realities, choosing to speak truthfully, even when inconvenient, builds trust and integrity. It means living in alignment with what is real, rather than trying to manipulate perceptions. This commitment to truthfulness cultivates inner clarity and authenticity, as we cease to weave complex webs of deceit that ultimately trap ourselves. Abstaining from slanderous speech, Pisunavaka Veramani. This refers to refraining from words that create division or disharmony among people. It's about not gossiping, spreading rumors, or saying things behind someone's back that you wouldn't say to their face. Such speech undermines relationships, breaks trust, and fuels resentment. Right speech, in contrast, promotes harmony and reconciliation. It seeks to bring people together, to bridge differences, and to foster understanding. Imagine a workplace where everyone abstains from gossip. The atmosphere would instantly become more collaborative and less toxic. This aspect of right speech extends to not speaking ill of others, even if what you say is factually true. If the intention is to cause harm or diminish their reputation, abstaining from harsh speech, Farusavaka Veramani. This means refraining from words that are rude, abusive, angry, or hurtful. This includes yelling, name-calling, sarcastic remarks intended to demean, or any language driven by anger or malice. Harsh speech creates immediate suffering for the listener and poisons the mind of the speaker. Right speech, conversely, is kind, gentle, and compassionate, even when delivering difficult truths or expressing disagreement. It does so with an underlying tone of respect and concern. It's about choosing words that soothe rather than agitate, that build up rather than tear down. This doesn't mean being a doormat. It means communicating assertively without resorting to aggression. Understanding that the message is often lost if the delivery is hostile. Abstaining from idle chatter, Sampapalapa Veramani. This refers to speech that is meaningless, frivolous, or serves no beneficial purpose. This can include excessive small talk, rambling on about trivialities, or engaging in endless debates that lead nowhere. While casual conversation has its place, idle chatter consumes valuable time and energy, distracting us from what truly matters and often leading to superficiality. Right speech, in contrast, is purposeful and beneficial. It focuses on topics that are wholesome, constructive, and conducive to understanding and growth. It's about speaking when there is something meaningful to say, and knowing when to be silent. In an age of constant digital communication, this means being mindful of what we share online, ensuring it's not merely noise but adds value or connects genuinely. Practicing right speech requires constant mindfulness. Before speaking, we can pause and ask ourselves, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it beneficial? If the answer isn't a clear yes to all, then silence is often the wiser choice. By consciously cultivating right speech, we not only improve our relationships with others but also purify our own minds. Fostering inner peace and integrity, our words become a reflection of our growing wisdom and compassion. Moving from words to actions, we come to right action, samma kammanta. This aspect of the path deals with our physical conduct, ensuring our bodily actions are wholesome, ethical, and do not cause harm. Just as with speech, right action is rooted in compassion and an understanding of the interconnectedness of all beings. The Buddha outlined 3 primary categories of unwholesome actions to avoid abstaining from taking life, panatipata veramani. This is the commitment to not intentionally kill any living being, from humans to animals. This principle extends beyond physical violence to include actions that cause suffering or contribute to the destruction of life. It fosters a deep reverence for all forms of existence and encourages empathy. For us today, this translates to not just refraining from physical violence, but also being mindful of the products we consume, the industries we support, and how our choices impact the lives of others and the environment. It promotes a stance of non-harming, advocating for peace and compassion in all interactions, abstaining from taking what is not given adinadana veramani. This means refraining from stealing or taking anything that does not rightfully belong to us, whether through direct theft, fraude, exploitation, or any dishonest means. It extends to respecting others' property, intellectual rights, and fair dealings. This principle builds trust, honesty, and integrity in society. It means earning what we have through legitimate means, rather than benefiting from the deprivation or disadvantage of others. In a broader sense, it means being honest in all our dealings, financial or otherwise, and upholding principles of fairness and justice. Abstaining from sexual misconduct, kamesu michakara veramani. This refers to engaging in sexual activity in a way that causes harm to oneself or others. This includes adultery, exploitation, or any sexual act that lacks consent, respect, or leads to suffering for any party involved. Right action encourages sexual conduct that is responsible, respectful, and enhances genuine connection and well-being. It is about understanding the impact of our intimate relationships and ensuring they are built on mutual respect, trust, and care, rather than driven by selfish desire or causing distress. This principle contributes to healthy relationships and a stable society. Right action, like right speech, is a continuous practice of mindfulness and ethical discernment. It requires us to be aware of the impact of our physical presence and choices on the world around us. It's about asking ourselves, are my actions contributing to well-being or suffering? Am I acting with kindness, respect, and integrity? When our actions align with these principles, we build a foundation of positive karma, creating wholesome conditions for ourselves and others. The clarity of right understanding provides the ethical framework, and the purity of right thought fuels the intention to act ethically. The connection between right speech and right action is profound. Our words often precede our deeds, and our actions reflect our deepest intentions. A person who practices right speech naturally inclines towards right action, and vice versa. They are two sides of the same coin of ethical conduct. When our words and actions are wholesome, they create a ripple effect, fostering peace and harmony in our personal lives, our families, our communities, and ultimately, the world. It is through these conscious choices in how we communicate and how we behave that we embody the wisdom of the Dharma and steadily progress on the path to liberation, moving closer to a life of true contentment and inner peace. The integrity cultivated through right speech and right action then provides a stable basis for how we sustain ourselves in the world, building upon the ethical foundation of right speech and right action. The Noble Eightfold Path continues, with right livelihood sama ajiva and right effort sama vayama. These two aspects delve into how we sustain ourselves in the world and the diligent mental exertion required to stay on the path of liberation. Think of it this way: right livelihood ensures the ground you stand on is firm and ethical, preventing you from sinking into patterns of harm. Right effort is the continuous, conscious exertion of your will to cultivate positive states of mind and prevent negative ones, like constantly bailing water to keep your boat afloat on a journey. Without a pure source of sustenance and consistent, wise effort, even the clearest understanding and the noblest intentions can falter. Right livelihood is about earning your living in a way that is ethical, causes no harm, and supports your spiritual practice rather than hindering it. It asks us to reflect deeply on how we acquire our resources and whether our chosen profession contributes to the well-being of ourselves and others. The Buddha outlines several types of livelihoods that are considered unwholesome because they inherently cause harm. Dealing in weapons. Any profession involved in the manufacture, sale, or distribution of instruments of violence directly contributes to harm and conflict. Dealing in living beings. This includes slavery, human trafficking, or any trade that exploits or abuses living beings, e.g., raising animals for slaughter if it involves cruelty, or professions that involve caging or mistreating animals. Dealing in meat. While the Buddha did not explicitly forbid monks from eating meat if it was offered charitably and not specifically killed for them, a livelihood based on slaughtering animals for profit is considered unwholesome due to the direct taking of life. Dealing in intoxicants. Professions involving the production or sale of alcohol or recreational drugs, as these substances cloud the mind, impair judgment, and often lead to suffering for individuals and society. Dealing in poisons. Any trade involving the manufacture or sale of poisons, which are intended to harm or kill. Beyond these specific prohibitions, the spirit of right livelihood extends to any profession that involves deception, exploitation, fraud, or dishonesty. This could include misleading advertising, usury charging, exorbitant interest rates, exploiting workers, or engaging in any business practice that thrives on the suffering or ignorance of others. In our complex modern economy, discerning right livelihood can be nuanced. It encourages us to look beyond the immediate financial gain and consider the broader impact of our work. For instance, a job that causes significant environmental damage, even if legal, might be considered unwholesome from a Buddhist perspective due to its long-term harm to interconnected ecosystems and future generations. The essence of right livelihood is to ensure that our means of sustenance align with our ethical principles and contribute to peace and well-being. It's about finding work that allows us to cultivate compassion, integrity, and non-harming. This doesn't mean everyone must become a meditation teacher or live in an ashram. It means making conscious choices within our professions, or seeking out professions that minimize harm and maximize benefit. For example, a lawyer practicing right livelihood might choose to focus on human rights or environmental law rather than defending polluters. A business person might prioritize ethical sourcing and fair labor practices over maximizing profit at any cost. Practicing right livelihood fosters inner peace and self-respect. When our work aligns with our values, we experience less internal conflict and greater contentment. It's like building a house on solid ground. You can trust that your foundation is sound. Conversely, engaging in unwholesome livelihoods, even if financially rewarding, can create a deep sense of unease, guilt, or spiritual malaise, undermining any attempts to find true happiness. It's a constant reminder of the interconnectedness of our actions and our inner state. What we put out into the world inevitably comes back to us, shaping our own mental landscape. This conscientious approach to earning a living becomes an integral part of our spiritual journey, transforming even mundane tasks into opportunities for ethical practice. Next, we encounter right effort samma vayama, which is the mental energy or exertion directed towards the cultivation of wholesome states and the prevention of unwholesome ones. This isn't about striving or forcing, but rather a balanced, persistent exertion of will and attention. It's the dynamic energy that keeps us moving forward on the path, preventing stagnation and backsliding. The Buddha described right effort in 4 clear areas to prevent the arising of unwholesome states that have not yet arisen. This is the proactive effort to guard our minds. It means being mindful of potential triggers for negative emotions like anger, jealousy, or craving, and intercepting them before they take root. For instance, if you know certain social media content triggers feelings of inadequacy, right effort means consciously limiting your exposure to it or engaging with it mindfully. It's like building a dam to prevent floodwaters from reaching your village, to abandon unwholesome states that have already arisen. This is the effort to skillfully release and let go of negative thoughts, emotions, and habits once they have appeared. This isn't about suppressing or repressing them, which often makes them stronger, but about recognizing them with mindfulness, understanding their impermanent nature, and gently redirecting the mind. If anger arises, right effort is the conscious choice to observe it without feeding it, to allow it to pass, perhaps by focusing on the breath or cultivating loving kindness. It's like opening the floodgates to drain the water once it's already entered, to arouse wholesome states that have not yet arisen. This is the proactive effort to cultivate positive qualities like kindness, compassion, gratitude, joy, and equanimity. It means intentionally engaging in practices that nourish the mind and spirit. This could involve regular meditation, practicing loving kindness toward others, seeking out inspiring teachings, or engaging in acts of generosity. It's like actively planting seeds of beneficial crops in fertile soil to maintain and bring to perfection wholesome states that have already arisen. This is the sustained effort to nurture and strengthen positive mental qualities that are already present. It means diligently continuing practices that foster well-being and ensuring that wholesome states become deeply ingrained habits. For instance, if you've developed a sense of gratitude, right effort involves regularly reflecting on things you're grateful for to deepen and expand that feeling. It's like tending to your crops, ensuring they grow strong and yield a bountiful harvest. Right effort is crucial because the mind, by its nature, tends to wander and can easily fall back into old, unwholesome patterns if not diligently guided. It's like tending a garden. You must actively weed out undesirable plants and nourish the ones you want to grow. This effort is not a struggle against oneself, but a skillful application of energy. It's not about beating yourself up for having negative thoughts, but about gently, persistently redirecting your attention towards more beneficial ones. It requires patience, persistence, and self-compassion. The analogy of a musician tuning an instrument is often used to describe right effort. If the strings are too loose, there is no sound. If they are too tight, they break. The effort must be balanced, neither too lax nor too strenuous. It's about finding the middle way in our spiritual exertion. This balanced effort prevents burnout and allows for sustainable progress. It's about showing up consistently, even when motivation wanes, and trusting the cumulative effect of small, regular efforts. Right livelihood provides the ethical framework for our existence, ensuring that our external actions align with our internal aspirations. Right effort provides the internal dynamism, the continuous cultivation of our minds to navigate the challenges and temptations of life. Together, they create a harmonious interplay between our outward engagement with the world and our inward journey of transformation. By consciously choosing an ethical livelihood and diligently applying right effort, we create optimal conditions for the deeper practices of mindfulness and concentration, which are the next powerful steps on the path to liberation. Our life becomes a testament to our commitment to peace, both within and without, having established a foundation of wisdom through right understanding and right thought, and solidified our ethical conduct with right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Coupled with the persistent energy of right effort, we now arrive at the heart of the Buddhist meditative practice, right mindfulness samasati. This isn't just a fleeting trend of being present. It is a profound and transformative faculty that opens the door to deeper insight, emotional regulation, and ultimately, liberation from suffering. Imagine you're standing in a bustling market, surrounded by noise and distractions. Right mindfulness is the ability to calmly and clearly observe everything happening around you, the sounds, the sights, your own reactions, without getting swept away, without judgment, simply seeing things as they are, moment by moment. It's the luminous awareness that illuminates the present. At its core, changniam, or right mindfulness, is the faculty of bare attention, the ability to be fully aware of what is happening, inwardly and outwardly, in the present moment, without clinging or aversion. It's a non-judgmental observation, a clear seeing of phenomena as they arise and pass away. Think of it as shining a spotlight directly on your current experience. What are you feeling in your body right now? What thoughts are arising in your mind? What sounds are you hearing? What emotions are you experiencing? And critically, mindfulness observes all of this without immediately labeling it good or bad, right or wrong. It simply notices. This simple act of noticing, without entanglement, is profoundly liberating. The benefits of cultivating mindfulness are vast and well documented, extending far beyond the meditative cushion into every aspect of our lives. In our fast-paced, distracted world, where multitasking is glorified and attention spans are shrinking, mindfulness offers a sanctuary of calm and clarity, reducing stress and anxiety. Much of our stress stems from worrying about the future or regretting the past. Mindfulness anchors us firmly in the present, where stress often has no foothold. By observing anxious thoughts without identifying with them, we create a space between ourselves and our worries, diminishing their power enhancing focus and concentration as we practice bringing our attention back to the present moment again and again. Our ability to focus on tasks improves significantly. This can lead to greater productivity, deeper engagement in activities, and enhanced learning capabilities. Improving emotional regulation. Mindfulness allows us to observe our emotions as they arise, like clouds passing in the sky, rather than being swept away by them. We learn to recognize anger, sadness, or frustration as temporary states, providing the space to respond skillfully rather than reacting impulsively. This leads to greater emotional resilience. Cultivating self-awareness. Through consistent mindful practice, we gain a deeper understanding of our own mental patterns, habits, and triggers. We learn what makes us happy, what causes us suffering, and how our minds habitually operate. This self-knowledge is crucial for personal growth and transformation, fostering compassion and empathy. As we become more aware of our own inner experiences, we naturally develop a greater capacity for empathy towards others, recognizing their struggles as reflections of shared human experience. This paves the way for more meaningful and compassionate interactions. The practice of mindfulness is not esoteric. It is profoundly practical and can be integrated into every moment of our lives. While formal meditation practice is invaluable, mindfulness extends far beyond sitting still with closed eyes. Mindful breathing. This is often the foundational practice. Simply paying attention to the sensation of your breath as it enters and leaves your body, not trying to control it, just observing it. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the breath. This simple anchor helps to calm and focus the mind. Mindful eating. When you eat, truly eat. Notice the colors, textures, aromas, and tastes of your food. Chew slowly, savoring each bite. Pay attention to the sensation of hunger and satiety. This transforms a mundane act into an opportunity for deep sensory engagement and appreciation. Mindful walking. Feel your feet connect with the ground. Observe the movement of your legs. Notice the sensations in your body as you walk. Be aware of your surroundings, the sounds, sights, and smells, without getting lost in thought. Mindful daily activities. Bring mindfulness to simple daily tasks like washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or drinking a cup of tea. Feel the warmth of the water, the texture of the sponge, the scent of the soap. By bringing full attention to these ordinary moments, we imbue them with presence and can transform routine into meditation. A key aspect of mindfulness is non-judgmental observation. When thoughts arise, be they worries, plans, memories, or fantasies, we simply notice them without getting caught up in their content, and without labeling them as good or bad. We acknowledge their presence, and then gently return our attention to our chosen anchor, be it the breath or the present activity. This non-identification with thoughts and emotions is crucial. We are not our thoughts. We are the awareness that observes them. This creates a liberating space, allowing us to choose how we respond, rather than being driven by automatic reactions. Mindfulness also helps us to see things as they truly are, free from the distortions of our preconceived notions, biases, and desires. When we are truly mindful, we begin to perceive the impermanent anicca, unsatisfactory dukkha, and non-self anatta nature of phenomena. We see that thoughts, Emotions and sensations are not solid or lasting. They arise, abide for a time, and then pass away. This direct experiential understanding deepens our right understanding and loosens the grip of attachment. The analogy of a lighthouse is apt for right mindfulness. The lighthouse stands firm amidst the storm, its beams steadily illuminating the churning waters and rocky shores. It doesn't stop the storm, but it provides clarity and guidance for ships navigating through it. Similarly, mindfulness doesn't stop the arising of difficult emotions or challenging situations in life, but it allows us to navigate them with greater awareness, stability, and wisdom, preventing us from crashing onto the rocks of reactive behavior or getting lost in the stormy seas of our own minds. Ultimately, right mindfulness is not just a technique, it's a way of being. It's the continuous cultivation of presence, awareness, and acceptance, moment by moment. It's the practice that directly counteracts the mind's habitual tendency to wander, to judge, to cling, and to avert. By consistently practicing mindfulness, we gradually train our minds to remain in the present, open to whatever arises, without getting entangled in the narratives of the past or the anxieties of the future. This unwavering presence, cultivated through right mindfulness, creates a fertile ground for the mind to settle and become truly concentrated, leading us naturally to the next powerful step on the path: right concentration. It is through this focused, steady awareness that deeper insights and profound peace truly become accessible. Having cultivated the steady lamp of right mindfulness, sama sati, we now turn to right concentration, sama samadhi, the culminating factor in the mental discipline samadhi section of the Noble Eightfold Path. If mindfulness is the ability to be aware of what's happening moment by moment, concentration is the sustained, undistracted focus on a single object or point of attention. Imagine mindfulness as shining a flashlight, illuminating various objects in a room as you scan. Concentration, then, is focusing that flashlight beam intently on one specific object, allowing you to see its details with profound clarity and stability. It's the power of a unified mind, free from the incessant chatter and scattering that usually plagues us. The mind, by its very nature, is often restless, flitting from one thought to another, one sensation to the next, like a monkey jumping from branch to branch. This incessant mental activity, while seemingly normal, is a significant source of our inner turmoil. It prevents us from truly settling, from seeing things deeply, and from experiencing profound inner peace. Right concentration is the practice of training the mind to abide steadily on a chosen object, developing a sustained, unwavering focus. This stability of mind is not about suppression or forcing. Rather, it's about gently and persistently redirecting the mind whenever it wanders, bringing it back to the chosen anchor. The most common and fundamental object for developing right concentration is the breath. Focusing on the sensations of the breath, the gentle rise and fall of the abdomen, the feeling of air entering and leaving the nostrils, provides a natural, ever-present anchor. As we consistently return our attention to the breath, the mind gradually settles, becoming less agitated and more pliable. This process doesn't just happen instantly. It requires patience and sustained effort, much like training a wild animal. Initially, the mind will resist, rebel, and wander countless times. The practice isn't about not having thoughts, but about not getting lost in them, about noticing when the mind has strayed and gently, without judgment, bringing it back to the breath. Each time you bring your attention back, you strengthen the muscle of concentration. As concentration deepens, the mind moves through various stages, traditionally known as the jhanas, meditative absorptions. While these are advanced states, even introductory levels of concentration yield significant benefits. Calming the mind. A concentrated mind is a calm mind. The incessant internal dialogue and mental noise begin to subside, creating a profound sense of quietude and stillness. This quietude is a direct antidote to the anxieties and stresses of modern life, offering a genuine refuge. Increased mental clarity. With the mind no longer scattered, perception becomes sharper and clearer. We can see situations, problems, and our own inner workings with greater insight and less distortion. This clarity leads to better decision-making and a more accurate understanding of reality, enhanced well-being and joy. As the mind settles, it naturally experiences states of pleasantness and joy, piti, and happiness, sukha. These are not fleeting pleasures derived from external sources, but deep, internal states that arise from the very act of concentration. This intrinsic joy makes the practice self-reinforcing. Foundation for insight. Vipassana. Right concentration is not an end in itself in the Buddhist path. It is a crucial prerequisite for Vipassana insight meditation. A stable, concentrated mind is like a clear, still pond that allows you to see to the bottom, revealing the underlying truths of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Without concentration, insight is often superficial or fleeting. The relationship between right mindfulness and right concentration is symbiotic. Right mindfulness acts as the constant awareness that keeps us present and recognizes when the mind has strayed. It's the policeman that sees the mind wandering off. Right concentration is the sustained, steady focus on the object once the mind has been brought back. Mindfulness provides the initial awareness and consistent monitoring, while concentration develops the power and depth of that attention. Without mindfulness, concentration would be impossible, as the mind would constantly be lost in distraction. Without concentration, mindfulness would remain superficial, unable to penetrate deeply into the nature of phenomena. They are two wings of a bird, both necessary for sustained flight towards liberation. In the context of daily life, developing right concentration, even in small ways, can be incredibly beneficial. When you are fully absorbed in a task, whether it's reading a book, playing an instrument, or solving a problem at work, you are experiencing a form of concentration. The more you can bring sustained, single-pointed attention to your activities, the more deeply you will engage with them and the more fulfilling they will become. Instead of constantly checking your phone or allowing your mind to drift, try to commit your full attention to one thing at a time. This simple practice can reduce mental fragmentation and increase your overall sense of presence and effectiveness. The cultivation of right concentration also plays a vital role in our ability to deal with challenging emotions and external distractions. When strong emotions like anger, fear, or sadness arise, a concentrated mind is less likely to be overwhelmed by them. Instead of reacting impulsively, we can maintain our focus, observe the emotion, and allow it to pass. Much like watching a storm from a calm vantage point. Similarly, external distractions that might normally derail us lose their power when the mind is firmly rooted in concentration. The constant demands of social media, notifications, and the relentless pace of modern life can be managed more effectively when we have the inner discipline to direct our attention purposefully. Think of the analogy of a craftsman. A master carpenter doesn't just vaguely look at the wood mindfulness. They intently focus their gaze, their hand, and their tools on the exact spot they need to cut or shape concentration. This focused attention allows for precision, mastery, and the creation of something beautiful. Similarly, in meditation, right concentration allows us to become masters of our own minds, capable of directing our mental energy with intention and precision, rather than being swept along by every passing thought or sensation. Ultimately, right concentration is a powerful tool for achieving deep inner peace and clarity. It creates the optimal mental conditions for penetrating insight into the nature of reality, allowing us to see through the illusions that cause suffering. It's the stability and focus that enable us to truly understand and embody the principles of impermanence and non-self, leading to profound liberation. By practicing right concentration, we move beyond mere intellectual understanding and cultivate a direct, experiential realization of the path. This unified, settled mind is the fertile ground from which genuine wisdom blossoms, leading directly to the ultimate release from suffering, the profound freedom of Buông Bỏ, or non-attachment. It is the ability to hold our attention steady, to see clearly, that allows us to eventually release our grip on all that causes us pain. With the mind now steadied by right concentration, Samma Samadhi, and illuminated by right mindfulness, Samma Sati, we stand at the precipice of one of the most profound and liberating concepts in Buddhist philosophy, Buông Bỏ, or letting go. This isn't about discarding possessions or abandoning responsibilities. It's about releasing the clinging, grasping, and attachment to things, ideas, and experiences that cause us suffering. Imagine holding a handful of sand tightly. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you open your palm and gently let it rest, the sand remains. Letting go is precisely this shift in posture towards life, from a desperate, white-knuckled grip to an open-handed acceptance. It is the very essence of true freedom. The suffering we experience, as explored in dukkha, largely stems from our innate human tendency to cling to what is impermanent and to resist what is inevitable. We cling to pleasant feelings, wanting them to last forever. We cling to our identities, our opinions, our possessions, our relationships, believing they define us and provide lasting security. We even cling to our suffering, finding a perverse comfort in our familiar anxieties. This clinging is a fundamental misunderstanding of reality, which is characterized by constant change, anicca, and interconnectedness. Anatta, when we hold on tightly to anything, be it a moment of joy, a person, a material object, or even a past grievance, we are setting ourselves up for pain when that thing inevitably changes, fades, or departs. The tighter the grip, the deeper the wound when it's pried open. Buông Bỏ does not mean becoming indifferent or apathetic. It doesn't mean you stop loving, caring, or striving. On the contrary, when you let go of clinging, your ability to genuinely love, care, and engage with life actually deepens. You engage with an open heart, free from the heavy burden of expectation and fear of loss. It means releasing the need for things to be a certain way, the demand for happiness to come from external sources, and the resistance to what is. It's about accepting reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Consider the common human experience of loss, the end of a relationship, the death of a loved one, the loss of a job, or even the fading of youth. Much of the pain in these experiences comes not just from the event itself, but from our attachment to what was. We replay memories, resist the new reality, and desperately wish things could return to how they were. Letting go, in this context, is the painful but ultimately liberating process of acknowledging the loss, accepting its finality, and releasing the grip on the past. It allows us to grieve fully, but then to move forward, rather than being perpetually anchored to what is gone. The fear of letting go is often immense. We believe that if we let go, we will lose something precious, that we will become empty, or that we will stop caring. But the opposite is true. When we release our tight grip, we create space for new experiences, for genuine peace, and for a deeper connection with the present moment. It's like opening a cramped, cluttered room. When you remove unnecessary items, you don't lose value. You gain spaciousness, clarity, and the ability to breathe freely. Letting go applies to many facets of our lives. Letting go of outcomes. We often invest heavily in specific outcomes, whether it's a promotion, a perfect relationship, or a successful project. When the outcome doesn't match our rigid expectations, we suffer. Letting go means putting in our best effort, but then releasing our attachment to the result, trusting that whatever unfolds is part of the flow of life. This cultivates resilience and reduces anxiety. We do our part, and then we surrender to the larger picture, understanding that many variables are beyond our control. Letting go of past grievances and regrets. The past is unchangeable. Clinging to past hurts, resentments, or mistakes only causes continued suffering in the present. Letting go of these heavy burdens, often through forgiveness of self and others, frees up immense mental and emotional energy, allowing us to live more fully in the now. It doesn't mean forgetting, but it means releasing the emotional charge that binds us to past pain. Letting go of future anxieties and worries. The future is uncertain. Worrying about hypothetical scenarios, what ifs, and potential problems robs us of the present moment's peace. Letting go of the need to control the future means trusting in our capacity to handle whatever arises, and focusing our energy on the actions we can take today. It's about recognizing that most worries are simply mental projections, not current realities. Letting go of the self-ego. This is the deepest form of letting go, relating to the concept of anatta non-self. We are deeply attached to our self-image, our roles, our perceived strengths and weaknesses. When this rigid sense of self is challenged, we feel threatened. Letting go of this fixed idea of me allows for true humility, openness, and freedom. It means recognizing that our identity is fluid and interconnected, not a separate, unchanging entity that needs constant defense or validation. Letting go of material possessions. In a consumer-driven society, we often define ourselves by what we own. This leads to endless craving and a fear of loss. Letting go of attachment to material things doesn't mean living without them, but recognizing that they are transient and do not define our worth or happiness. It's the simple act of appreciating what we have without clinging to it. A classic Buddhist parable illustrates the concept of letting go beautifully. Two monks were traveling together. They came to a river where a young woman stood, unable to cross. The elder monk, without a word, picked her up, carried her across the river, and set her down on the other side. He then continued on his way. The younger monk, shocked and disturbed by this act, as monks are not supposed to touch women, remained silent for several hours. Finally, unable to bear it any longer, he burst out, "Brother, how could you do that? Monks are not supposed to touch women. You carried her across the river." The elder monk calmly replied, "Brother, I put her down on the other side of the river hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This story perfectly encapsulates the essence of letting go. The physical act of carrying the woman was temporary, but the younger monk's mental clinging to the event, his judgment, and his internal struggle caused him far more suffering than the actual incident. We often carry burdens, resentments, anxieties, past hurts, future worries, long after the actual event has passed, simply because we refuse to mentally put them down. Practicing letting go is an active process, not a passive one. It requires mindfulness to recognize when we are clinging, and wisdom to understand why that clinging causes suffering. It's a moment-by-moment choice to release the tension, to relax the grip, and to allow things to be as they are. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent to life, but rather engaging with it fully. Yet lightly, when we release our attachment, we free up immense energy that was previously consumed by resistance and control. This liberated energy can then be channeled into truly meaningful endeavors, fostering deeper connections and experiencing profound inner peace. Letting go is not a loss, it is the ultimate gain, the gain of genuine freedom and unburdened happiness. Preparing the mind to truly comprehend the nature of reality itself, with the profound insights of impermanence anicca and non-self anatta beginning to take root, our perspective on life and our relationship with others undergo a radical shift. When we see the transient, interconnected nature of all phenomena, the narrow confines of self-interest begin to dissolve. This opening of the heart is precisely where metta tu bai, loving kindness, and karuna bai, compassion, along with mudita hi, empathetic joy, and upekkha za, equanimity, collectively known as the four immeasurable states or divine abodes brahmaviharas, naturally flourish. These are not mere emotions, they are boundless states of mind, cultivated through intentional practice, that transform our inner world and our interactions with every being. Imagine a wellspring of pure, clear water bubbling up from within you, capable of nourishing not just yourself, but radiating outward to quench the thirst of all. This is the expansive power of these immeasurable qualities. Metta, loving kindness, the wish for well-being. Metta is the sincere, unconditional wish for the well-being and happiness of all beings. Without exception, it is a warm, benevolent feeling that extends equally to friends, family, strangers, and even those we find difficult. It's not a sentimental, possessive love, but a boundless, pure goodwill that desires the flourishing of others in our busy, often competitive world. It's easy to fall into patterns of judgment, comparison, or even subtle ill will. Metta meditation actively counteracts this. training the mind to generate positive, wholesome intentions towards everyone. The practice typically begins by cultivating metta towards oneself. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. This is crucial because we cannot genuinely extend love to others if we harbor self-criticism or aversion towards ourselves. Once a sense of self-metta is established, it is then systematically extended to a loved one, to a neutral person, someone you encounter regularly but have no strong feelings about, like a kasha, to a difficult person, someone who challenges you or with whom you have conflict, to all beings, everywhere, without distinction. This systematic expansion helps to break down the mental barriers and prejudices we hold, dissolving the sense of separation and fostering a profound sense of interconnectedness. When we wish others well, we ourselves benefit. The act of generating metta fills our own hearts with warmth and joy, reducing feelings of anger, resentment, and fear. It's a proactive antidote to negativity, transforming our inner landscape into one of warmth and openness. Karuna compassion, the wish for freedom from suffering. Karuna is the natural outflow of metta when confronted with suffering. It is the deep empathy and heartfelt wish for all beings to be free from pain, sorrow, and distress. While metta wishes for happiness, Karuna actively responds to present suffering. It's the profound resonance with another's pain, coupled with the desire to alleviate it. This isn't a passive pity, it is an active, engaged empathy that can motivate us to take skillful action to help others. In a world filled with immense suffering, poverty, illness, conflict, injustice, it's easy to become overwhelmed, numb, or to turn away. The practice of karuna encourages us to lean into suffering with a compassionate heart, not to be consumed by it, but to respond from a place of wisdom and care. When we see someone struggling, instead of judgment or indifference, karuna moves us to wish them relief, to understand their pain, and, if possible, to offer assistance. This could be as simple as a kind word, a listening ear, or active involvement in social causes. Cultivating karuna helps us transcend self-absorption and connect deeply with the shared human experience of vulnerability and struggle. It reminds us that their suffering is not separate from our shared humanity. Mudita, empathetic joy, rejoicing in others' happiness. Mudita is the antithesis of envy and jealousy. It is the pure, unadulterated joy we feel in the happiness, success, and good fortune of others. In a society that often promotes comparison and competition, cultivating mudita is a radical act. It means genuinely celebrating others' achievements as if they were our own, without any sense of personal inadequacy or rivalry. When we practice mudita, we actively counter the tendency to feel diminished by others' success or to secretly wish them ill. Instead, we expand our capacity for joy, finding happiness not just in our own lives, but in the vast ocean of happiness that exists around us. Imagine how much lighter life would be if, instead of silently resenting a colleague's promotion, you could genuinely rejoice in their success. Mudita transforms our competitive tendencies into opportunities for shared joy, fostering stronger, more supportive relationships and enriching our own emotional landscape. It's a powerful practice for dismantling the ego's subtle strategies of division and comparison. Upekkha, equanimity, balanced perspective. Upekkha is often translated as equanimity. impartiality, or balance. It is the ability to maintain a steady, unperturbed mind in the face of life's inevitable ups and downs, joys and sorrows, praise and blame. It is the wisdom that allows us to see things as they are, without being swayed by personal preferences or aversions. Upekkha is not indifference or detachment. It is a deep, stable wisdom that understands the karmic law, that beings are the owners of their actions and responsible for their results. When we encounter suffering that we cannot alleviate, or happiness that we cannot share, Upekkha allows us to remain steady, without being overwhelmed by despair or excessive elation. It's the balanced mind that understands that while we can extend metta, karuna, and mudita, ultimate liberation and happiness for others depend on their own actions and understanding. It means loving unconditionally, but also recognizing the limits of our control. This allows us to act with compassion without being consumed by others' struggles, and to rejoice without being inflated by others' successes. Upekkha provides the stable ground from which the other three immeasurables can truly flourish, without becoming distorted by attachment or aversion. It's the wisdom that accepts things as they are, without judgment, allowing us to respond with clarity and peace. The interconnectedness of the four immeasurables. These four states are not separate practices but deeply interconnected and mutually reinforcing. Metta is the foundation, cultivating a general friendliness. Karuna arises from metta when confronted with suffering. Mudita expands the joy of metta to include others' happiness. And Upekkha provides the wise, balanced perspective that allows all three to be cultivated without attachment or aversion, preventing them from becoming emotionally overwhelming or biased. They are the boundless heart of the Buddhist path, transforming our relationship with ourselves, others, and the world. Applying to daily life, cultivating these qualities transforms mundane interactions into opportunities for spiritual growth. Instead of reacting with irritation to a rude driver, practice metta. May this person be well. May they find peace. When you hear news of a tragedy, engage karuna. May all beings suffering be free from pain. When a friend achieves a lifelong dream, wholeheartedly practice mudita. How wonderful. May their joy continue. And when faced with situations beyond your control, apply upekkha. May I accept what I cannot change and offer what I can with a balanced heart. The practice of the four immeasurables is a radical act of love and courage. It challenges our ingrained habits of selfishness, fear, and negativity, gradually dissolving them and replacing them with boundless warmth, empathy, and unwavering peace. It reminds us that true happiness is not found in accumulation or control, but in the opening of the heart, in our capacity to connect with and wish well for all beings. This profound opening of the heart, rooted in the understanding of impermanence and non-self, is the very essence of Ting Thuk awakening, allowing us to live with a deeper sense of connection and profound joy. With our hearts fully opened, we are now ready to truly embrace the awakened life. Having diligently cultivated the seeds of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline through the various aspects of the Noble Eightfold Path, from right understanding to the boundless compassion of the Brahma Viharas, we arrive at a pivotal concept awakening Ting Thuk, or Bodhi. This is not merely a theoretical state or an intellectual understanding. It is a profound, transformative experience, a direct realization of the nature of reality that fundamentally shifts one's relationship with life and suffering. If the journey through the Eightfold Path is like gradually removing layers of dust and grime from a window, awakening is the moment the window becomes crystal clear, revealing the unobstructed view. It is living with eyes wide open, truly seeing the world as it is, free from the distortions of delusion. The term awakening implies waking up from a dream, and indeed, from a Buddhist perspective, most of humanity lives in a state of delusion, caught in the dream of a permanent self, clinging to impermanent phenomena, and constantly seeking satisfaction in external conditions. This dream often manifests as a cycle of craving, aversion, and suffering. Awakening is the moment of seeing through this dream, of recognizing the inherent emptiness of clinging, and experiencing the profound peace that arises from that realization. It's not about suddenly gaining new powers or becoming someone different. It's about seeing who you truly are, stripped of all the illusions. While mindfulness chain niyam is a crucial tool for observing the present moment, awakening is the result of consistent, deep mindfulness and insight. Mindfulness brings awareness to the present experience. Awakening is the insight into the true nature of that experience, its impermanence, its unsatisfactory nature when clung to, and its non-self quality. It's like being able to notice every ripple on the surface of a pond, mindfulness, and then suddenly being able to see through the clear water to the very bottom, revealing its depth and fundamental nature. Awakening. A person who experiences awakening or moves along the path toward it exhibits distinct qualities that stem from their newfound clarity and liberation, profound inner peace. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances. It's a deep stillness that remains even amidst life's challenges, because the awakened mind no longer clings to impermanence or battles with reality. It finds a stable center within itself. It's like the eye of a hurricane, calm and still, even as the storm rages around it. Freedom from fear. Much of our fear stems from attachment, fear of loss, fear of not having, fear of change, fear of death. When one truly understands impermanence and non-self, the objects of fear lose their solid ground. The awakened individual understands that there is no permanent self to be harmed, and that all phenomena are transient. This doesn't mean recklessness, but a deep, unshakable equanimity in the face of life's uncertainties. Unshakable wisdom prajna. This is wisdom born of direct experience, not just intellectual knowledge. It's the intuitive understanding of the Four Noble Truths, of karma, and of dependent origination, how all phenomena arise in dependence on other conditions. This wisdom guides all actions and perceptions, leading to skillful and compassionate responses to life, boundless compassion and loving kindness. As the illusion of a separate self dissolves, the heart naturally expands. The awakened mind recognizes the interconnectedness of all beings and feels a deep, spontaneous empathy for their suffering, karuna, and a boundless wish for their happiness, metta. Self-centeredness diminishes, replaced by an innate desire to benefit all. Non-attachment buongbo. This is a hallmark of the awakened state. It's not a forceful detachment, but a natural release that comes from seeing the futility of clinging. The awakened mind engages fully with life, appreciates beauty, experiences joy, and feels sorrow, but without the desperate grasp that leads to suffering. They can hold life lightly, letting experiences flow through them without getting stuck. Clarity and direct perception. The awakened mind sees reality directly, unclouded by mental fabrications, concepts, and biases. This allows for pure, unconditioned perception, often described as seeing things as they really are. This contrasts sharply with our ordinary perception, which is often filtered through layers of conditioning, desire, and projections. The journey towards awakening is a continuous process, not a single, isolated event. While there can be moments of profound breakthrough or glimpses of awakening, the full realization and stabilization of this state often requires sustained practice over many years. It's not a finish line to be crossed and then forgotten. It's a deepening and integration of wisdom into every aspect of one's being. Even the Buddha, after his enlightenment, continued to practice and teach for 45 years. Furthermore, awakening is not about transcending human experience or becoming emotionless. Awakened individuals still experience the full spectrum of human emotions: joy, sadness, even pain, but they do so without clinging to the pleasant ones or resisting the unpleasant ones. They experience emotions without becoming identified with them, understanding them as transient phenomena rather than core aspects of their being. They are not their anger, they are simply experiencing anger. This distinction is crucial for liberation. The purpose of the entire Buddhist path is awakening. Every step of the Eightfold Path is designed to systematically dismantle the mental defilements, greed, hatred, delusion that obscure our true nature and prevent us from experiencing this profound freedom. Through ethical conduct, we create a stable and harmonious external environment. Through mental discipline, mindfulness, and concentration, we purify and steady the mind. And through wisdom, understanding, impermanence, and non-self, and cultivating the Brahmaviharas, we directly penetrate the illusions that bind us. The analogy of waking up from a long, complex dream is particularly apt. In the dream, we might experience fear, loss, triumph, and sorrow as if they were real. But upon waking, we realize they were merely mental constructs, and the suffering we felt in the dream instantly vanishes. Similarly, awakening is the waking up from the dream of self and other, from the illusion of a permanent, separate existence, and realizing the boundless peace that lies beyond it. This awakening isn't a secret held by a few. It is the inherent potential within every single human being, waiting to be uncovered. Living with eyes wide open means engaging fully with life, accepting its joys and sorrows with equanimity, acting with compassion, and experiencing a profound sense of connection with all things. It's about being fully present, fully alive, and fully free. Not from the world, but from the suffering that arises from our misguided relationship with it. This is the ultimate goal of the Dharma, a state of profound inner liberation that is available to anyone willing to embark on the courageous journey of self-discovery and transformation. This awakened state of being, where clarity reigns, equips us with the profound capacity to directly face and skillfully navigate the inevitable challenges of our existence, including the deepest human fears. Having understood the liberating power of awakening Tin Thuk, we now turn our attention to two of the most pervasive and debilitating experiences in human life: fear and anxiety. In the rush of modern existence, these emotions often feel like unwelcome guests, seizing control of our minds and robbing us of peace. From a Buddhist perspective, fear and anxiety are not external forces that randomly attack us. Rather, They are mental constructs, rooted in our fundamental misperceptions of reality, particularly our clinging to what is impermanent and our resistance to what is. The path of wisdom and mindfulness offers not an escape from these emotions, but a skillful way to face them directly, understand their nature, and ultimately diminish their power over us. Our typical reaction to fear and anxiety is either to avoid them or to fight them. We distract ourselves with endless tasks, immerse ourselves in entertainment, or seek external reassurances. Alternatively, we might engage in a mental battle, trying to suppress anxious thoughts or force ourselves to not be afraid. Both approaches are ultimately ineffective because they fail to address the root cause. Avoiding simply pushes the emotion into the subconscious, where it festers and often resurfaces with greater intensity. Fighting creates internal conflict, adding another layer of suffering on top of the original emotion. Buddhism offers a radical alternative to turn towards fear and anxiety with mindfulness and compassion. This means acknowledging their presence without judgment, observing their sensations in the body and their patterns in the mind, and understanding their transient nature. The Buddhist view of fear and anxiety, impermanence of emotions. Like all phenomena, emotions are impermanent anicca. Fear and anxiety arise, dwell for a period, and then pass away. Our suffering comes from clinging to them, believing they are fixed or defining aspects of ourselves, or resisting their presence. When we recognize their transient nature, we are less likely to be overwhelmed, rooted in attachment and resistance. Most fear and anxiety stem from our attachment to desired outcomes and our aversion to undesired ones. We fear losing what we have: security, loved ones, health, and we fear gaining what we don't want: failure, pain, loneliness. This grasping and resistance to the flow of life are the fuel for anxiety. The more we cling to a particular future or past, the more we suffer when reality deviates from our expectations. Illusions of control. A significant source of anxiety is the deeply ingrained belief that we can and should control everything in our lives, from external events to other people's opinions, and even our own internal states. The reality is that much of life is beyond our control. When we try to grasp what is uncontrollable, anxiety is the inevitable result. Mental projections. Anxiety is often about events that might happen in the future, or regrets about what did happen in the past. It's a mind caught in hypothetical scenarios, spinning narratives of potential disaster or past grievances. These are mental projections, not current realities. The present moment, paradoxically, is rarely the source of anxiety itself. It's our thoughts about the past or future that create the turmoil. Skillful means for facing fear and anxiety. Mindful awareness, chain niyam. This is the primary tool. When fear or anxiety arises, instead of immediately reacting, pause. Bring your attention to the sensations in your body. Where do you feel the anxiety? Is it a tightening in the chest, a churning in the stomach, a racing heart? Observe these sensations with curiosity, as if they were a scientific phenomenon. Notice the thoughts that accompany the anxiety. Are they what-if scenarios? Are they self-critical? Simply observe them without judgment or engagement. This creates a vital space between you and the emotion. You are the observer, not the emotion itself. This simple act of observation, without reaction, already begins to diminish the emotion's power. Breathe with it. The breath is an immediate anchor to the present moment. When anxiety tightens your body, focus on your breath. Breathe deeply and calmly, sending the breath into the areas where you feel tension. This isn't about breathing away the anxiety, but about using the breath to create a sense of groundedness and to soften the physical grip of the emotion. Each mindful inhalation and exhalation is a step back into the present reality, away from the mental narratives, inquiry and investigation. Once you've created some space with mindfulness, you can gently inquire into the nature of the fear. Ask, what exactly am I afraid of right now? Is this fear rooted in a present danger or a future projection? What is the core attachment here? This doesn't mean intellectualizing it to death, but rather shining the light of wisdom on its origins. Often, you'll find that the fear is a paper tiger, a mental construct that crumbles when examined closely. Acceptance chapnyeon. This is a profound and often challenging aspect. Acceptance does not mean resignation or liking the fear. It means acknowledging its presence without resistance. Yes, fear is here. I allow it to be here. Paradoxically, when we stop fighting fear, it often begins to dissipate. The fight against the fear is what often keeps it alive and strong. This is a form of bongbo, letting go of the resistance to the unpleasant experience, cultivating loving kindness metta towards fear. This might sound counterintuitive, but extending compassion to your own fear can be incredibly healing. Fear is often a manifestation of a vulnerable part of ourselves. Instead of pushing it away, acknowledge it with kindness. May this fear be well. May it be free from suffering. May I be free from this fear. This act of self-compassion transforms the internal battle into a gentle embrace, understanding impermanence and non-self, deepening your understanding of anicca impermanence and anatta non-self is the long-term antidote to chronic anxiety. When you truly grasp that everything is changing, you become less rigid in your expectations and more adaptable to life's flow. When you see that there is no fixed self to be harmed or protected, the intensity of personal fears diminishes. You still navigate challenges, but without the intense ego-driven anxiety. An analogy for facing fear: imagine you are in a dark room and you see a coiled rope. Mistaking it for a snake, you feel intense fear. This fear is real. You might scream, freeze, or try to run, but if someone turns on the light, you see that it's just a rope. The fear instantly dissolves. Not because the rope changed, but because your perception of it changed. Much of our anxiety is like mistaking a rope for a snake, a misunderstanding of reality. Mindfulness is like gradually turning on the light, allowing us to see things as they truly are. By consistently applying these principles, we develop an inner resilience. We learn that while fear and anxiety may arise, we don't have to be controlled by them. We develop the capacity to meet them with wisdom and an open heart, observing their transient nature and understanding their roots in attachment and resistance. This transformation is not about eradicating difficult emotions, but about changing our relationship with them, discovering that true peace lies not in their absence, but in our capacity to engage with them skillfully from a place of mindful awareness and unwavering wisdom. This profound shift in how we relate to our inner experience paves the way for navigating not only our internal world, but also the external conflicts that inevitably arise in our lives. Having cultivated the profound capacity to face our internal fears and anxieties with wisdom, we now extend this understanding to the realm of conflict, both within ourselves and in our interactions with others. Conflict, whether a silent internal battle or an overt external disagreement, is a universal human experience. From a Buddhist perspective, conflict is not an inherent flaw in the world, but often a symptom of our attachment to views, désir, and the illusion of a separate self. The wisdom of the Dharma offers powerful tools to approach conflict, not as something to be won or avoided, but as an opportunity for deeper understanding, connection, and ultimately, peace. Our natural inclination when faced with conflict is often to react with defense, aggression, or withdrawal internally. This can manifest as self-criticism, guilt, or battling conflicting desires. Externally, it can lead to arguments, blame, resentment, and fractured relationships. These reactions, born of our ego's need to be right or to win, only perpetuate the cycle of suffering. The Buddha's teachings provide a radically different approach, one rooted in mindfulness, compassion, and the wisdom of interdependence. Understanding the roots of conflict attachment to views ditthi upadana. A primary cause of conflict is our clinging to our opinions, beliefs, and perspectives as absolute truths. When someone holds a different view, it can feel like a direct challenge to our identity, triggering defensive reactions. We become invested in being right, rather than seeking understanding. Attachment to desires kama upadana. When our desires clash with those of others, or when our internal desires are contradictory, conflict arises. We want things to be our way, and when they are not, frustration, anger, or disappointment sets in. The illusion of a separate self, attavada, upadana. The strongest root of conflict lies in the misconception of a fixed, isolated self. When we perceive ourselves as fundamentally separate from others, their needs and suffering can seem distant or irrelevant. This fuels self-centeredness, making compromise and empathy difficult. We protect my interests above all else. Lack of mindfulness and emotional reactivity. Without mindfulness, we are often swept away by strong emotions like anger, fear, or resentment. These emotions then dictate our responses, leading to impulsive words and actions that escalate conflict rather than resolve it. Resolving internal conflict. Internal conflict arises when different parts of ourselves are at odds. Perhaps a desire for comfort versus a desire for growth, or a critical inner voice versus a longing for self-acceptance. Applying Buddhist principles allows us to approach these inner battles with compassion, mindful awareness first. Acknowledge the conflict within you without judgment. If you're feeling torn, angry at yourself, or wrestling with a decision, simply observe these warring factions. Notice the sensations in your body and the thoughts playing out in your mind. Don't take sides, just be the observer. There is the part of me that wants to relax, and there is the part that feels guilty about it. Compassionate inquiry. Instead of suppressing or fighting these inner parts, approach them with kindness and curiosity. Ask, what does this part of me need? What is it trying to protect or achieve? Often, seemingly negative inner voices are trying to keep us safe, even if their methods are unskillful. By listening, you can understand the underlying motivation. Non-identification. Remember the principle of non-self anatta. You are not your conflicted thoughts or emotions. You are the awareness that observes them. This creates space, preventing you from being consumed by the internal battle. This thought of self-criticism is arising, but it is not me. Cultivating equanimity upekkha. When faced with difficult internal choices or competing desires, practice equanimity. Accept that complexity is part of the human experience. Sometimes there isn't a perfect answer, and that's okay. Find a balanced perspective, acknowledging all parts without getting attached to one outcome over another, letting go of perfectionism. Much internal conflict stems from a desire for things to be perfect, or for ourselves to be flawless. Practice buông bỏ, letting go of the need for internal perfection. Accept your imperfections and your humanity. This gentle acceptance can dissolve many inner struggles, resolving external conflict with others. When conflict arises with others, Buddhist wisdom guides us towards responses that prioritize understanding, harmony, and peace, rather than victory or blame. Right speech Chang'e. This is paramount in conflict resolution. Truthful speech. Speak honestly, but also gently and skillfully. Avoid exaggerating or distorting facts to make your point. Harmonious speech. Avoid words that divide or escalate tension. Focus on shared ground and understanding. Refrain from gossip or backbiting. Kind speech. Even when expressing disagreement, use words that are respectful and compassionate. Avoid harsh tones, insults, or demeaning language. Remember that you are speaking to a fellow human being who is also seeking happiness and freedom from suffering. Meaningful speech. Speak only when your words can genuinely contribute to resolution or understanding. Avoid idle chatter or debating just for the sake of it. Right action Chan Nye. Ensure your physical actions during conflict are non-violent and respectful. Avoid aggressive postures, gestures, or any actions that could escalate harm. This also means refraining from passive-aggressive behaviors that undermine trust. Deep listening Han, Lung Ne Sao. This is perhaps one of the most powerful and transformative tools. Instead of listening to respond, listen to understand. Give the other person your full, undivided attention, trying to grasp their perspective, their feelings, and their underlying needs. Often, people just want to be heard and validated. When someone feels truly heard, the emotional intensity of the conflict often diminishes. Practice active listening. Paraphrase what you hear to ensure accuracy, and ask clarifying questions. Cultivating loving kindness, metta, and compassion, karuna, before entering a difficult conversation, or even in the midst of it. Cultivate a sincere wish for the other person's well-being. Recognize that, like you, they are likely acting from a place of perceived need or fear. This doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, but it softens your heart and allows you to approach the situation with empathy rather than animosity. See their suffering, even if it's manifesting as aggression, seeking common ground and compromise. Instead of focusing on who is right or wrong, shift the focus to finding solutions that address the needs of all parties involved. Be open to compromise and creative solutions. Remember that win-lose scenarios often lead to resentment and future conflict. Strive for win-win or mutual understanding. Practicing patience and equanimity, upekkha conflict resolution takes time and patience. Avoid rushing to judgment or demanding immediate solutions. Maintain a balanced mind, understanding that you cannot control the other person's reactions, only your own. Be prepared for setbacks, and don't take things personally. The analogy of a muddy pond: when a pond is stirred up, the water becomes cloudy and impossible to see through. If you try to force the mud down, it only stirs it up more. But if you allow the pond to sit undisturbed, the mud will gradually settle and the water will become clear. Similarly, when conflict arises, our minds become agitated. Trying to forcefully resolve it or prove our point only stirs up more mud. By applying mindfulness, deep listening, and compassion, we allow the emotional mud to settle, creating clarity and space for genuine resolution. Ultimately, approaching conflict from a Buddhist perspective is about transforming our relationship with disagreement. It's about recognizing that conflict, whether internal or external, is an opportunity to practice our deepest wisdom and compassion. By understanding the impermanent nature of arguments, the illusion of a separate self, and the power of our words and intentions, we can navigate these challenging moments with greater skill, grace, and inner peace. This proactive and compassionate engagement with conflict not only resolves immediate issues, but also strengthens our relationships and deepens our own spiritual journey, laying the groundwork for cultivating a profound sense of gratitude that permeates every aspect of our existence. Having navigated the complexities of inner and outer conflict with wisdom and compassion, we arrive at a profoundly transformative practice on the path to inner peace, the cultivation of gratitude. In the pursuit of happiness, we often fall into the trap of believing that contentment comes from acquiring what we lack. Yet, Buddhist wisdom, and indeed universal human experience, reveals a powerful truth. True and lasting happiness often arises not from gaining more, but from deeply appreciating what we already have. Gratitude is not merely an emotion, it is a state of mind, a conscious choice, and a powerful lens through which to view our lives, capable of shifting our perception from scarcity to abundance, from discontent to profound joy. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded with messages that foster dissatisfaction. Advertisements tell us we need the newest gadget. Social media shows us curated highlights of others' seemingly perfect lives. And the relentless drive for more keeps us perpetually focused on what's missing. This creates a psychological treadmill where we never quite arrive at happiness because our attention is always fixed on the next thing, the next achievement, the next acquisition. This constant focus on lack is a direct source of dukkha, the pervasive unsatisfactoriness of existence. Gratitude, on the other hand, is a radical countercultural act. It pulls us out of the future-oriented chase and grounds us firmly in the present moment, allowing us to acknowledge and appreciate the blessings that already exist. It shifts our focus from what we don't have to what we do have, transforming our entire perspective. Gratitude as a Buddhist practice, while not explicitly listed as a single factor in the Eightfold Path, the spirit of gratitude is deeply interwoven throughout Buddhist teachings, particularly within concepts like right thought, right effort, and the cultivation of wholesome states like joy and equanimity. It is a direct antidote to craving tanha and a powerful facilitator of contentment, counteracting craving and attachment. When we cultivate gratitude, we naturally feel more satisfied with what is. This directly weakens the grip of craving and attachment, which are the root causes of suffering. If you are deeply grateful for your current home, the urge to constantly seek a bigger, better one diminishes. Fostering contentment, Santosha gratitude is intimately linked to contentment. A key quality in Buddhist practice, contentment is not complacency, but a deep satisfaction with what one has, free from the restless urge for more. Gratitude is the engine of this contentment. Recognizing interdependence, gratitude helps us see the vast web of interdependence that supports our lives. From the farmers who grew our food, to the artisans who crafted our clothes. From the teachers who educated us to the natural world that provides sustenance, everything we have is a gift from countless interconnected sources. This realization fosters humility and a sense of belonging. Cultivating wholesome emotions. Regularly, practicing gratitude actively cultivates positive emotions like joy, appreciation, and peace. These wholesome states directly counter negative emotions such as resentment, envy, anger, and anxiety, transforming our inner landscape. The transformative benefits of gratitude. Modern scientific research increasingly validates what ancient wisdom has long known. Gratitude has profound benefits for our mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. Improved mental health studies show that regular gratitude practice can reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, increase positive emotions, and enhance overall life satisfaction. It shifts the brain's focus from threat and deficit to appreciation and abundance. Enhanced relationships. Expressing gratitude strengthens bonds with others. When we appreciate those in our lives, they feel valued and seen, fostering deeper connections and mutual respect. It helps us see the good in others, even amidst their imperfections. Increased resilience when faced with adversity. A grateful mindset can help us cope more effectively. Instead of being consumed by what went wrong, we can find lessons learned, hidden strengths, or appreciate the support systems that emerge during difficult times. Gratitude doesn't denude pain, but it helps us find light in the darkness. Better physical health research suggests that grateful individuals often report better sleep, stronger immune systems, and a greater motivation to engage in healthy behaviors. The reduction in stress contributes directly to physical well-being, greater optimism, and happiness. By consistently focusing on the positive aspects of life, gratitude trains our brains to notice more good, leading to a more optimistic outlook and a more pervasive sense of happiness that is less dependent on fleeting external circumstances. Practical ways to cultivate gratitude in daily life. Gratitude is a muscle that strengthens with consistent exercise. Here are some simple yet powerful practices. Gratitude journaling. Dedicate a few minutes each day to write down 3 to 5 things you are grateful for. Be specific. It could be as grand as a supportive family or as simple as a warm cup of coffee, a sunny day, or a good night's sleep. The act of writing solidifies the feeling. Gratitude meditation. Sit quietly and bring to mind all the people, experiences, or things you are grateful for. Feel the warmth of appreciation in your heart. You can extend this to even difficult experiences. Reflecting on lessons learned or growth achieved. Expressing gratitude directly. Make it a habit to thank people genuinely. Send a note, make a call, or simply express your appreciation in person. This not only makes others feel good, but also deepens your own sense of gratitude. Mindful appreciation. Integrate gratitude into your daily mindfulness practice. When eating, be mindful of the food and feel grateful for its nourishment. When walking, to appreciate the ability to move and the beauty of your surroundings. When breathing, feel grateful for each breath. Reframing challenges. When faced with a difficulty, try to find a silver lining or a lesson learned. Sometimes, the most challenging experiences reveal our greatest strengths or bring unexpected blessings. This was hard, but I learned X. Or despite this setback, I'm grateful for Y. Gratitude interrupts throughout your day. Consciously pause and identify something you can be grateful for in that exact moment. It could be the sound of birds, the comfort of your chair, or the fact that you have a functioning body. These micro moments of gratitude add up. A beautiful anecdote illustrates the power of gratitude. An old man lived in a small, humble shack. A visitor, seeing his meager possessions, asked, "Sir, how do you manage to be so joyful and at peace in such humble circumstances?" The old man smiled and said, "Every morning, when I open my eyes, I thank God that I can see. When I feel the warmth of the sun, I thank God for its light. When I hear the birds sing, I thank God for the music. When I take a breath, I thank God for life itself. When I feel sadness, I thank God for reminding me of what I hold dear. And when I meet others, I thank God for the opportunity to connect. My friend, I am rich beyond measure, for my heart is always full." This story highlights that gratitude is not about the quantity of what we possess, but the quality of our perspective. It is an internal state, independent of external conditions. By consciously cultivating gratitude, we actively train our minds to focus on the positive, to appreciate the simple gifts of existence, and to foster a profound sense of contentment that emanates from within. This practice is not just a pleasant feeling, it is a fundamental shift that empowers us to create our own happiness, realizing that true joy resides within our capacity to appreciate the boundless interconnectedness of life. This inner richness, stemming from gratitude, is a key component of understanding that happiness is truly an inside job, a journey we are perpetually on, nourished by our intentions and efforts, following the profound wisdom of gratitude, which shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance and from wanting to appreciating. We naturally turn to another cornerstone of deep and lasting happiness in Buddhist philosophy, service, and the profound joy that comes from giving dana. In a world often driven by self-interest and accumulation, the teachings of the Buddha radically assert that true fulfillment is not found in what we take, but in what we give. It is the act of extending ourselves beyond our narrow ego, offering our time, energy, resources, and compassion for the benefit of others. Imagine a clear, flowing river. It doesn't hold its water for itself. It continuously gives, nourishing the land and all life along its banks. This selfless flow is the essence of happiness found in service and giving. Our modern society frequently equates happiness with personal achievement, material wealth, and individual gratification. The narrative is often one of striving for personal gain, competing for resources, and focusing on me. While ambition and self-care have their place, an exclusive focus on the self can lead to isolation, a sense of emptiness, and a perpetuation of suffering. The Buddha recognized this inherent limitation of self-centered living. He taught that lasting joy, genuine peace, and the deepest sense of purpose arise when we expand our circle of concern beyond ourselves, actively seeking to alleviate the suffering of others and contribute to their well-being. The Buddhist perspective on giving dana and service counteracting greed and selfishness. Giving is a direct antidote to greed, lobha, one of the three root poisons along with hatred and delusion that cause suffering. When we give freely, do we loosen the grip of attachment to possessions and to our own desires, It trains the mind to release rather than to grasp, generating merit punya and wholesome karma. In Buddhist thought, giving creates wholesome karma. It's not about earning a reward in a transactional sense, but understanding the natural law of cause and effect. Actions rooted in generosity and compassion naturally lead to positive outcomes and inner flourishing. When you plant a seed of kindness, a tree of happiness will grow, cultivating compassion, karuna, and loving kindness metta. The act of giving or serving necessarily involves empathy. It requires us to step outside ourselves, to recognize the needs and suffering of others, and to respond with an open heart. This strengthens our capacity for compassion and loving kindness, making these boundless states less theoretical and more lived experiences. Realizing interdependence, paticca samuppada. Giving highlights our interconnectedness. When we give, we are acknowledging that our well-being is intrinsically linked to the well-being of others. We are all part of one vast web of existence, and by supporting one thread, we strengthen the whole fabric. This breaks down the illusion of a separate self, experiencing intrinsic joy. The happiness derived from giving is often deeper and more enduring than the happiness from receiving. This is because the joy of giving comes from an expansive, generous heart, free from the limitations of selfish desire. This joy is intrinsic, arising from the act itself, rather than being dependent on external conditions. It's a fundamental shift in where we locate our source of happiness. The Bodhisattva ideal, living for the benefit of all beings in Mahayana Buddhism. The concept of Bodhisattva beautifully embodies the spirit of service. A Bodhisattva is an awakened being who, out of boundless compassion, chooses to postpone their own final liberation to remain in the world and help all other sentient beings achieve awakening. This ideal emphasizes that genuine enlightenment is inseparable from the commitment to alleviating the suffering of others. It's a powerful aspiration to live a life dedicated to the welfare of the collective, seeing one's own liberation as intertwined with the liberation of all. While we may not all aspire to be bodhisattvas in the ultimate sense, this ideal inspires us to infuse our daily lives with a similar spirit of selfless service. Practical ways to practice giving and service. Dana giving doesn't always mean large financial donations. It encompasses a wide spectrum of offerings, each equally valuable in cultivating the generous heart, giving material things. Amisa dana. This is the most common form, offering food, clothing, money, or other resources to those in need. It can be as simple as donating to a charity, buying a meal for someone experiencing homelessness, or sharing what you have with friends and family. The key is the intention behind the gift, given freely, without expectation of return. Giving time and energy seva. Labor dana, voluntarily offering your time and effort to help others or a cause you believe in. This could be volunteering at a local shelter, helping a neighbor with chores, participating in community cleanups, or dedicating time to advocacy. This kind of giving builds community and demonstrates direct engagement with others' needs. Giving knowledge and wisdom, dhammadana, sharing your knowledge, skills, or insights with others to help them grow and overcome difficulties. This could involve teaching, mentoring, offering guidance, or simply sharing a wise perspective when someone is struggling. In the Buddhist context, it specifically refers to sharing the Dharma, the teachings to help others find their own path to liberation. Giving protection and safety. Abhayadana, offering comfort, reassurance, or protection to those who are fearful or vulnerable. This can range from providing a safe space to speaking up against injustice, or simply offering a calming presence to someone in distress. It's about creating an environment of security and peace. Giving forgiveness, karma dana. This is a profound and often challenging form of giving. Releasing resentment and offering forgiveness to those who have wronged us is a powerful act of liberation, both for ourselves and for the other person, even if they are unaware. It frees us from the burden of anger and bitterness. The analogy of the full cup. Imagine you have a cup filled to the brim with water. If you keep trying to pour more water into it, it will simply overflow and make a mess. But if you begin to pour water out of your cup, it creates space for new, fresh water to flow in. Our lives are similar. If we only focus on filling our own cup, accumulating for ourselves, we eventually feel stagnant and may even overflow with anxiety and dissatisfaction. But when we actively engage in giving, we create space within ourselves, allowing fresh joy, peace, and abundance to flow into our lives. The act of emptying, paradoxically, fills us more deeply. The happiness that arises from service and giving is fundamentally different from the fleeting satisfaction of receiving. It is a more robust, stable, and deeply fulfilling joy because it connects us to something larger than ourselves. It taps into our innate capacity for compassion and generosity, which are boundless qualities. When we give, we are not diminishing ourselves. We are expanding our hearts, reinforcing our interconnectedness, and directly contributing to a more harmonious world. This outward-focused action, driven by an inner spirit of selfless contribution, solidifies the understanding that true happiness is indeed an inside job, found not in grasping, but in the graceful and abundant flow of giving. This deep well of happiness from within naturally leads us to the realization that contentment doesn't depend on external conditions, but on our inner cultivation. We've journeyed through the profound depths of Buddhist philosophy, from understanding the nature of suffering and its origins to cultivating wisdom, ethical conduct, mental discipline, and the boundless qualities of compassion and generosity. Now, we arrive at a pivotal realization that underpins this entire exploration. Happiness is fundamentally an inside job. It is not a destination to be reached through external achievements or acquisitions, but a continuous journey of inner cultivation, a state of being that arises from how we relate to life, rather than from what life presents to us. Imagine searching desperately for a rare, exotic flower in distant lands, only to discover it blooming quietly in your own garden all along. This is the truth of inner happiness. For much of our lives, we are conditioned to believe that happiness resides out there. We are told that if we get that promotion, find the perfect partner, buy the bigger house, or achieve a certain level of recognition, then, finally, we will be happy. This belief fuels a relentless chase, a perpetual state of striving and wanting. The problem, as we explored with dukkha, suffering, and tanha, craving, is that anything external is inherently impermanent. Anicca, what brings joy today, might be gone tomorrow, or simply lose its luster. The happiness derived from external conditions is therefore fleeting, conditional, and ultimately unsustainable. It's like building your house on sand. When the tides shift, your foundation crumbles. The Buddhist path, however, steers us away from this external dependence and guides us inward. It teaches that true happiness, an enduring sense of peace and contentment, is an intrinsic quality that can be cultivated and accessed regardless of external circumstances. This is the essence of happiness as an inside job. It means shifting our focus from what we get to how we are. It's about recognizing that while external conditions can influence our comfort or pleasure, they do not dictate our fundamental state of well-being. The difference between external and internal happiness. External. Conditional happiness. This is the happiness that depends on something outside of us. I will be happy when I get a new car. I'll be happy if this person loves me. This type of happiness is precarious because it relies on factors beyond our control. When the condition changes or isn't met, the happiness dissolves, often replaced by disappointment or anxiety. It's often accompanied by a subtle undercurrent of fear of losing what brings the happiness. Internal, unconditional happiness. This is the happiness that arises from within, cultivated through our mental states and our understanding of reality. It is a baseline of peace, contentment, and joy that can remain steady even amidst life's challenges. It's not dependent on acquiring or maintaining external conditions. This happiness is born from Bongbo, letting go of attachment, cultivating Chengniya mindfulness, developing Tingthuk, awakening, and practicing to be compassion. It's a deep sense of well-being that no external event can truly take away, nurturing inner peace and joy. The journey of making happiness an inside job involves several key shifts in perspective and practice. Embracing impermanence, anicca. When we truly understand that everything changes, we release our desperate grip on conditions. We appreciate beauty when it's present, and we let go gracefully when it fades. This frees us from the pain of resistance and the illusion of permanence. It allows us to dance with life's flow rather than fighting against it. Releasing attachment, Bo. This is the core practice. It's letting go of our clinging to outcomes, to possessions, to relationships, to our very self-image. This doesn't mean becoming aloof. It means engaging with life fully but lightly, knowing that true freedom comes from non-attachment, not from holding on tighter. When you let go of the need for things to be a certain way, you free up immense energy that was previously consumed by resistance and control. Cultivating mindfulness, Changniam. By grounding ourselves in the present moment, we reduce the power of past regrets and future anxieties. Mindfulness allows us to experience life directly, without the distorting filters of our desires and aversions. It reveals the richness and peace available in every moment, if only we pay attention. The simple act of breathing, mindfully observed, can be a source of profound peace. Practicing self-compassion often. Our greatest struggles come from our internal critic, our harsh judgments of ourselves. Making happiness an inside job means cultivating the same kindness and understanding towards ourselves that we would offer a dear friend, recognizing our shared humanity, our imperfections, and our inherent worth lays the foundation for inner peace. It's about accepting yourself as you are, rather than constantly striving for an idealized version, focusing on giving and service. As we explored, the act of giving dana and serving others, Feng Shui paradoxically fills us with a profound and lasting joy. When we shift our focus from what can I get to what can I offer, we tap into a wellspring of intrinsic happiness that is independent of external rewards. This outward focus dissolves the ego's self-centeredness, leading to expansive joy. Redefining success. Society often defines success by external metrics, wealth, fame, power. An internal approach to happiness redefines success as inner peace, contentment, wisdom, and compassion. It's about measuring our lives by the quality of our character and the depth of our inner experience, rather than by external achievements. The power of choice. The most empowering aspect of happiness as an inside job is the realization that we have a choice in how we experience life. We cannot always control what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond to it. This choice is cultivated through conscious practice of the Dharma. When difficulties arise, we can choose to respond with mindfulness and wisdom, rather than being swept away by fear or anger. When joy arises, we can choose to appreciate it fully without clinging to its permanence. This active choice is our ultimate freedom. The analogy of the inner garden. Imagine your mind as a garden. You can choose to plant weeds of negative thoughts, attachments, and grievances, and then wonder why you feel overwhelmed and unhappy. Or you can diligently plant seeds of mindfulness, compassion, gratitude, and wisdom, with consistent care and cultivation, watering them with practice, weeding out distractions with effort. These seeds will blossom into a vibrant garden of inner peace and joy. Regardless of the storms outside, this garden is within you, always accessible, always capable of flourishing if you tend to it. This journey of making happiness an inside job is not a path of denial or deprivation. It's a path of profound liberation. It's about shedding the heavy burdens of external expectation and internal resistance, allowing our true nature, which is inherently peaceful and joyful, to shine through. It's about understanding that the wellspring of contentment lies within our own hearts and minds, waiting to be discovered and nurtured. By consistently applying the wisdom of Buddhist philosophy, we empower ourselves to create a life not free from challenges, but filled with an unwavering sense of well-being, a resilient peace that flows from the deep wellspring of our own cultivated wisdom and compassion. This inner cultivation is an ongoing commitment, a daily practice that steadily builds towards a greater sense of peace. Having embraced the profound truth that happiness is an inside job, cultivated through inner development rather than external pursuits, the crucial question becomes, how do we consistently nurture this inner garden? The answer lies in establishing daily habits of meditation and mindfulness. These are not just practices for spiritual seekers, they are practical, scientifically validated tools for anyone seeking to reduce stress, enhance focus, improve emotional well-being, and deepen their understanding of themselves and the world. Imagine trying to grow a sturdy tree. You wouldn't just water it once and expect it to flourish. Consistent, daily nourishment is required. Similarly, our inner peace thrives on regular, dedicated cultivation. In our modern, fast-paced lives, the idea of adding another thing to do might seem daunting. However, the beauty of meditation and mindfulness is that they don't demand hours of your time, especially when starting out. Even a few minutes of dedicated practice each day can yield remarkable benefits, much like how a few drops of water, continuously falling, can eventually wear away a stone. The key is consistency, not duration. It's about building a sustainable habit that integrates seamlessly into your life, transforming moments of routine into opportunities for profound presence. The importance of regular practice. Our minds, left untended, tend to wander, ruminate on the past, worry about the future, and react impulsively to external stimuli. This scattered and reactive state is a primary source of stress and dissatisfaction. Regular meditation and mindfulness practice directly counter this tendency by training the attention muscle. Just as you train your body in the gym, you train your mind through meditation. Each time you notice your mind wandering and gently bring it back to your chosen anchor like the breath, you strengthen your capacity for sustained attention and focus. This attention muscle is invaluable in all areas of life, from work to relationships. Creating mental space consistent practice gradually slows down the incessant chatter of the mind, creating moments of stillness and quiet. This mental spaciousness allows us to observe thoughts and emotions without immediately getting caught in their grip, giving us the freedom to respond skillfully rather than react habitually. Rewiring the brain. Neuroscientific research shows that regular meditation can physically change the brain. It can strengthen areas associated with attention, emotional regulation, and compassion, while potentially reducing activity in areas linked to fear and stress. This structural change reinforces the benefits over time, deepening insight. As the mind becomes calmer and more focused, it becomes a clearer mirror, reflecting the true nature of reality. This allows for deeper insights into impermanence, non-self, and the roots of suffering, moving beyond intellectual understanding to direct, experiential wisdom. Building resilience. Life will inevitably present challenges. A mind regularly trained in meditation and mindfulness is more resilient, better equipped to navigate stress, loss, and difficulty without being overwhelmed. It helps us bend, not break under pressure. Basic meditation practices for beginners. For those new to the path, starting with simple, foundational practices is key. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, even for just 5 to 10 minutes. Mindful breathing. Anapanasati. Find a comfortable seated posture, spine erect but relaxed. You can sit on a cushion, a chair, or kneel. Gently close your eyes or lower your gaze. Bring your attention to the sensations of your breath. Notice the feeling of the air entering your nostrils, the rise and fall of your abdomen, or the sensation in your chest. Don't try to control your breath, just observe it as it naturally is. When your mind wanders, which it will, countless times, gently acknowledge the thought or distraction without judgment. Then, with kindness, bring your attention back to the sensations of your breath. Continue for your chosen duration. Even 5 minutes daily is a powerful start. Body scan meditation. Lie down comfortably on your back or sit in a relaxed position. Bring your attention to different parts of your body, starting from your toes and slowly moving upwards to your head. As you focus on each part, notice any sensations: warmth, coolness, tingling, tension, relaxation. Simply observe, without judgment. If you encounter tension, gently breathe into that area, imagining the breath softening it, and then release it on the exhale. This practice cultivates present moment awareness of physical sensations and helps release stored tension. Integrating mindfulness into daily activities. Meditation is not just something you do sitting on a cushion. It's a quality of presence you bring to every moment. The goal is to make mindfulness a continuous thread throughout your day, weaving it into ordinary activities. Mindful eating. Before eating, pause for a moment to appreciate your food. As you eat, pay attention to the colors, aromas, textures, and tastes. Chew slowly, noticing the process of digestion and the sensations of hunger and fullness. This transforms eating from a hurried act into a rich sensory experience. Mindful walking. As you walk, feel your feet connecting with the ground. Notice the sensations in your legs, the swing of your arms, the rhythm of your breath. Be aware of your surroundings, sights, sounds, smells, without getting lost in thought or rushing to your destination. Mindful chores. Bring full attention to routine tasks like washing dishes, cleaning, or folding laundry. Notice the temperature of the water, the feel of the soap, the movements of your body. Transform what might feel like a tedious chore into a meditative practice, valuing the act itself. Mindful listening. When someone is speaking to you, practice truly listening. Give them your undivided attention, without formulating your response or letting your mind wander. Listen to understand, not just to reply. This deepens connections and improves communication. Mindful pauses. Insert short, mindful pauses throughout your day. Take a few deep breaths before opening an email, entering a meeting, or starting a new task. Use traffic lights, door handles, or phone rings as cues to momentarily bring your attention to your breath and the present moment. Building the habit. The key to building a lasting habit is to start small and be consistent. Set a realistic goal. Begin with 5 to 10 minutes of formal meditation daily. It's better to do 5 minutes every day than 30 minutes once a week. Choose a regular time anchor your practice to an existing daily routine, like first thing in the morning, before bed, or during a lunch break. Be patient and kind to yourself. Your mind will wander. You will get distracted. This is normal. The practice isn't about perfection. It's about gently returning your attention again and again. Treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a struggling friend. Use guided meditations. Many apps and online resources offer guided meditations that can be very helpful for beginners, providing a voice to lead you through the practice. Find a community optional. Joining a local meditation group or online community can provide support, encouragement, and a sense of shared journey. The analogy of the water drop. An ancient proverb says, "The dripping water wears away the stone." A single drop of water cannot affect a large stone, but if that same drop falls consistently, day after day, year after year, it will eventually wear a hollow in the hardest rock. Similarly, a single moment of mindfulness might seem insignificant, but consistent, daily practice, like countless drops of water, gradually, imperceptibly, reshapes the landscape of your mind, cultivating deep reservoirs of peace, clarity, and genuine happiness. Building these daily habits of meditation and mindfulness is perhaps the most tangible and direct way to embody the wisdom of happiness. Is an inside job. It is through this consistent, gentle discipline that we transform our internal world, cultivate unwavering inner peace, and open ourselves to the profound joy of being fully present in each moment. It is this inner strength and clarity that then allows us to move beyond our habitual ways of perceiving reality, helping us to transcend the illusions that often bind us to suffering. With the consistent cultivation of meditation and mindfulness, and a deepening understanding of the impermanent and non-self nature of existence, we gain a profound capacity to see through the subtle, yet powerful, veils of illusion and expectation that so often cloud our minds and fuel our suffering. These illusions are not external deceptions. They are internal constructs, mental habits that distort our perception of reality, leading to disappointment, frustration, and a pervasive sense of inadequacy. Imagine wearing glasses with distorted lenses, constantly seeing the world skewed and blurry. Overcoming illusions is like finally taking off those glasses and seeing everything with pristine clarity. Our minds are natural storytellers. From a young age, we begin to weave narratives about ourselves, others, and the world. We build elaborate mental models of how things should be, how people should act, and how our lives should unfold. These are our expectations. When reality inevitably diverges from these meticulously crafted mental blueprints, we suffer. This suffering is not caused by reality itself, but by the clash between reality and our rigid expectations. Consider the widespread illusion of perfection. In an age of social media, we are constantly presented with highly curated, idealized versions of lives, bodies, careers, and relationships. This creates an unspoken expectation that our own lives should somehow mirror this flawless facade. We then relentlessly pursue an unattainable ideal, constantly measuring ourselves against an illusion, leading to chronic feelings of not being good enough. The truth, however, is that perfection is a mental construct, an idea that has no true counterpart in the ever-changing, imperfect, yet beautiful reality of life. Trying to grasp perfection is like trying to catch mist. It slips through your fingers, leaving you feeling empty. Common illusions and expectations that cause suffering: the illusion of control. We often believe we can sabotage a ride and should control every aspect of our lives, our health, our finances, other people's behavior, the future. When life inevitably throws curveballs, or others don't conform to our wishes, we feel anxious, frustrated, and powerless. The reality is that much of life is inherently uncontrollable. The expectation of permanence, rooted in our resistance to our Nika impermanence. We expect happiness, relationships, youth, and possessions to last forever. When they change or end, we suffer intensely. This is the source of much grief and disappointment. The illusion of a fixed self, as explored with an utter non-self. We cling to a rigid idea of who I am. This leads to needing constant validation, defending our ego, and feeling threatened by criticism or change. We become trapped by our own self-definitions. The expectation of constant happiness, pleasure. We are often conditioned to believe that life should always be pleasurable and comfortable. Any discomfort, pain, or sadness is seen as an anomaly or a failure. This resistance to unpleasant experiences fuels aversion and prevents us from learning to skillfully navigate the full spectrum of human emotions. The illusion of external validation as happiness. We believe that if others approve of us, or if we achieve external markers of success, wealth, fame, we will finally be happy. This leads to a life lived for others' opinions, constantly chasing fleeting external validation, rather than cultivating authentic inner contentment. If, then, thinking. This is a pervasive mental habit. I'll be happy if I get X, or I can relax then. This endlessly postpones our peace and traps us in a cycle of future-oriented striving, preventing us from experiencing the peace of the present. Seeing through the veil with Buddhist wisdom, the practices of mindfulness, meditation, and a deep understanding of core Buddhist principles provide the tools to dismantle these illusions and expectations. Direct observation with mindfulness Chan. Niyam. This is the immediate counter to illusion. When an expectation arises, this meeting should go perfectly. Pause and observe it. Then, observe what is actually happening. Notice the gap between your expectation and reality. This direct observation, free from judgment, reveals the purely mental nature of the expectation. When you are fully present, you are less likely to be caught in future projections or past regrets. Embracing impermanence. Anicca, regularly meditating on the impermanent nature of all things directly weakens the expectation of permanence. We begin to appreciate moments of joy more fully because they are fleeting, and we meet moments of sorrow with greater acceptance, knowing they too will pass. This cultivation of a non-clinging mind naturally reduces disappointment. Understanding non-self anatta. When the illusion of a fixed self begins to dissolve, the need for external validation, the fear of judgment, and the desperate striving to maintain an image all diminish. There's no solid me to protect or defend. This leads to a profound sense of inner freedom and authenticity. You are less defined by others' opinions and more rooted in your true fluid nature. Practicing letting go buang bo. This is the active antidote to clinging to expectations. It's about consciously releasing our grip on how things should be. We do our best. We engage fully, but then we surrender the outcome. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means acting with clear intention and then trusting the flow of life. Understanding that some things are beyond our control. This is the ultimate freedom from the tyranny of expectations. Cultivating equanimity, upekkha. Equanimity is the balanced mind that remains stable amidst all conditions, success and failure, praise and blame, gain and loss. It helps us navigate the inevitable discrepancies between our expectations and reality without becoming overwhelmed. We can witness life's unfolding with a calm, discerning awareness, free from personal bias. Wisdom of the middle way. The Buddha's teaching often emphasizes the middle way, avoiding extremes. This applies to expectations as well. It's not about having no expectations, which is unrealistic, but about having flexible expectations, holding them lightly, and being open to how reality actually unfolds. It's about finding a balance between striving and acceptance. The analogy of the child and the toy. Imagine a child who desperately wants a specific toy. They build up an elaborate fantasy about how happy they will be once they have it. When they finally get the toy, they might play with it for a while, but then the novelty wears off, or they realize it doesn't bring the exact feeling they imagined, or it breaks. Their happiness, built on an illusion and expectation, crumbles. Now imagine a child who finds joy in simply playing with whatever is available, adapting their play to the circumstances, and releasing the toy once they're done. Their happiness is not dependent on the toy itself, but on their ability to engage playfully with life. We, as adults, often act like the first child, desperately clinging to mental toys of expectation. Buddhist practice helps us become like the second child, finding joy in the present reality, being flexible, and gracefully letting go when things change, overcoming illusions and expectations, is a continuous process of waking up to reality. It's about dismantling the mental prisons we unconsciously build for ourselves and stepping into the boundless freedom of simply being. It doesn't mean life becomes perfect or free of challenges. Instead, it means that when challenges arise, we meet them with clarity, acceptance, and an inner stability that is unshakable because it is not dependent on the world conforming to our desires. This profound shift from living in a world of mental projections to dwelling in the vibrant reality of the present moment brings with it a lightness of being and a profound sense of liberation. This deep embrace of reality then naturally leads to a simplified, more authentic way of living, one that is aligned with the tranquility we seek, having systematically addressed the intricate layers of suffering, illusion, and attachment through the lens of Buddhist wisdom. We naturally arrive at a profound outward manifestation of this inner transformation, Song Jan Don, for Than Than, living simply and serenely. This isn't about asceticism or depriving oneself. Rather, it's a conscious choice to streamline our lives, reduce complexity, and detach from the relentless pursuit of more plying, thereby creating ample space for genuine peace, clarity, and contentment to flourish. Imagine a cluttered room. No matter how beautiful the furniture, the clutter creates a sense of overwhelm. Living simply is like decluttering that room, not to make it empty, but to reveal its inherent spaciousness and beauty. In our modern world, complexity is often seen as a sign of progress or success. We accumulate more possessions, fill our schedules to the brim, chase endless streams of information, and strive for constant stimulation. Paradoxically, this relentless pursuit of more often leads to feelings of overwhelm, anxiety, and a deep sense of dissatisfaction. We become slaves to our possessions, our calendars, and our unfulfilled desires. The more we try to grasp, the heavier our burden becomes, and the further we drift from inner peace. Living simply, however, is a deliberate counter-movement. It's a recognition that true richness lies not in material abundance or external busyness, but in inner tranquility and the freedom from unnecessary burdens. It's about discerning what truly adds value to our lives and gently letting go of what doesn't, both materially and mentally. The Buddhist view on simplicity and serenity. The concept of simplicity is deeply embedded in Buddhist philosophy, particularly in the emphasis on contentment santosha, non-attachment buangbo, and the reduction of craving tanha, reducing craving and suffering. The more possessions we have, the more we fear losing them, the more time and energy we spend maintaining them, and the more we crave the next upgrade. Living simply directly addresses this by reducing the objects of craving, thereby diminishing a significant source of suffering, fostering contentment. When we consciously choose to live with less, we begin to appreciate what we have more deeply. This cultivates contentment to a profound sense of satisfaction with the present moment and what is available. It's a shift from always wanting more to appreciating enough, gaining freedom and time every possession. Every commitment, every distraction demands our time, energy, and attention. By simplifying, we reclaim our time, free up mental bandwidth, and gain the autonomy to direct our lives according to our deepest values, rather than being driven by external pressures. Clarity and focus. A less cluttered life both externally and internally, leads to greater mental clarity and focus. With fewer distractions and demands, our minds can settle, allowing for deeper concentration and mindful presence. This helps us to truly see what matters. Environmental responsibility. From a broader perspective, living simply also aligns with ecological awareness, reducing consumption, reusing, and recycling are expressions of compassion for the planet and future generations, stemming from an understanding of interconnectedness. Practical aspects of living simply. Living simply doesn't prescribe a universal formula. It's a personalized journey of discerning what enough means for you. It's about intentionality, not deprivation, decluttering material possessions, mindful consumption. Before buying something new, ask yourself, do I truly need this? Does it add value to my life? How long will I use it? This intentionality reduces impulsive purchases, driven by advertising or social pressure. Regular purging. Periodically go through your belongings. Donate, sell, or discard items that no longer serve a purpose. Bring joy, or are truly needed. Embrace the lightness that comes from letting go of excess. Prioritize experience over acquisition. Invest in experiences, travel, learning, spending time with loved ones, rather than accumulating material goods. Experiences often provide more lasting happiness and richer memories. Simplifying your schedule and commitments, saying no mindfully. Learn to politely decline invitations or commitments that don't align with your values or that overstretch your time and energy. Protecting your time is protecting your peace. Prioritizing tasks. Focus on the most important tasks and let go of the need to do everything perfectly or to please everyone. Use tools like the Eisenhower matrix, urgent, important to discern what truly requires your attention. Digital detox. Regularly disconnect from digital devices, social media, and constant information streams. Create intentional periods of quiet and unplugged time to allow your mind to rest and reset. This reduces mental clutter and constant external stimulation, simplifying your mental landscape. Mindful awareness of thoughts. Observe the endless stream of thoughts without getting caught in rumination or judgment. Practice letting go of unnecessary worries, past regrets, and future anxieties. As explored earlier, focus on the present moment. Bring your attention back to the here and now, which is where true peace resides. Much of our mental complexity comes from dwelling on what isn't, rather than engaging with what is. Reduce mental multitasking. Try to do one thing at a time with full attention. This increases efficiency and reduces mental fragmentation. When washing dishes, just wash dishes. When talking to someone, just talk to them. Forgiveness and letting go, holding on to grudges, resentments, and the need to be right creates immense mental burden. Practicing forgiveness of self and others is a profound act of mental simplification and liberation. Serenity, the fruit of simplicity. When we actively choose to live simply, the natural outcome is a profound sense of than serenity. Serenity is not the absence of problems. It is the ability to remain calm, peaceful, and unperturbed amidst life's challenges. It's the quiet strength that comes from being internally grounded, rather than being tossed about by external circumstances. A serene mind is less reactive. It responds to situations with wisdom and equanimity, rather than impulsive emotional reactions. More resilient. It can bounce back from setbacks more easily because it's not burdened by excessive attachments or expectations. Clearer and more focused, with less mental clutter. The mind can think more clearly, make wiser decisions, and engage more deeply with life. Content, it finds joy in the simple, ordinary moments of life, rather than constantly needing external stimulation or achievement to feel happy. The analogy of the calm lake. Imagine a lake. If the surface is constantly disturbed by wind, rain, or objects thrown into it, you cannot see to the bottom. It remains choppy and unclear. But if the lake is still and calm, even if there are currents beneath the surface, you can see clearly into its depths, reflecting the sky and surrounding trees with perfect clarity. Our mind is like that lake when it is cluttered and agitated by endless desires, expectations, and busyness. We cannot see our true nature or the truth of reality. By simplifying our lives and calming our minds, we allow the mud to settle, and the inherent serenity and clarity of our true nature shine through. Living simply and serenely is not a denial of life's richness, but a deeper appreciation of it. It's about consciously cultivating a lifestyle that supports our inner peace, rather than constantly undermining it. By systematically reducing external and internal clutter, we create the spaciousness necessary for genuine contentment, lasting happiness, and a profound sense of well-being to take root and flourish. This journey of simplification is an ongoing process, un continu refinement, leading us closer to a life lived with open hands, a clear mind, and a truly tranquil heart, ushering us into a state of enduring peace and ease. This profound journey, culminating in a deeper sense of inner peace, prepares us for the final understanding of enduring well-being. We have journeyed together through the intricate landscape of Buddhist philosophy, exploring the nature of suffering, the power of our minds, and the profound tools for inner transformation. From understanding the roots of our anxieties to cultivating boundless compassion and embracing the wisdom of simplicity, each step has been an invitation to turn inward, to unlock a deeper, more resilient source of happiness. Now, as we draw towards the culmination of our exploration, we arrive at the profound realization that the ultimate aim of this entire journey is to discover and sustain an lasting serenity, an enduring inner peace that remains steadfast amidst life's inevitable ebbs and flows. This isn't a fleeting emotion or a temporary escape from reality. It is a fundamental shift in our way of being, a continuous state of profound well-being that is neither dependent on external conditions nor disturbed by them. Imagine the deep, still waters of a vast ocean. On the surface, waves may crash and storms may rage, but in its depths, there is always a profound, unwavering calm. This profound calm is lasting serenity. For many, peace is a fragile concept, something achieved only when all problems are resolved, when all desires are met, or when life conforms perfectly to our expectations. This conditional peace is perpetually elusive, as life is inherently dynamic, filled with change, challenges, and uncertainty. The Buddhist path offers a radical departure from this conditional approach. It teaches us that true serenity is not the absence of storms, but the ability to find stillness within the storm. It is the wisdom to understand that while external events may cause temporary discomfort or pain, they do not have the power to disturb our fundamental inner peace. provided we have cultivated the tools to meet them with mindfulness and wisdom, synthesizing the journey, the pillars of lasting serenity. The lasting serenity we seek is not found in a single concept, but is the harmonious integration of all the principles we have explored. Buang Bo, letting go. This is perhaps the most direct route to serenity. When we release our clinging to desires, outcomes, opinions, and even our fixed sense of self, we shed immense psychological weight. The burdens of past regrets, future anxieties, and current resistance simply dissipate. This active process of non-attachment creates a vast internal spaciousness where peace can naturally arise. It is the fundamental understanding that holding on creates tension, while letting go creates ease. Chan near mindfulness. Serenity blossoms in the present moment by consistently bringing our attention back to the here and now, observing our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. We stop living in the endless narratives of the past or the hypothetical scenarios of the future. Mindfulness anchors us to the ground of our being, where peace is always accessible, directly experienced. It's the clarity that illuminates the path to inner calm, Ting Thuk awakening. As mindfulness deepens, it leads to moments of profound awakening, seeing through the illusions of a fixed self and the permanence of phenomena. This direct insight into anicca impermanence and anatta non-self dismantles the very root of suffering. When we truly understand that nothing lasts and there is no fixed I to protect, fear diminishes, and an unshakable sense of peace, born of reality itself, emerges. To be compassion and he saw equanimity, serenity, is not a selfish pursuit. When our hearts open through the practice of loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity, we transcend the narrow confines of self-interest. This boundless love for all beings, coupled with a balanced perspective, dissolves anger, resentment, and fear, replacing them with a deep, expansive sense of connection and peace. Engaging in Feng Shui service further reinforces this, as the happiness derived from giving is inherently lasting and free from attachment. Song Jan Don Vathan, Than living simply and serenely. The outward expression of inner serenity is a life uncluttered by excessive material possessions or unnecessary mental burdens. By consciously choosing to simplify our lives, we reduce sources of craving, demands on our time, and mental distractions, creating fertile ground for inner peace to flourish effortlessly. The journey of transformation from suffering to serenity. Our journey began by acknowledging the omnipresence of dukkha, suffering in modern life, the stress, anxiety, and pervasive dissatisfaction that arise from our endless seeking and clinging. We then systematically explored samudaya, the origin of suffering in our craving and attachment, the path forward, Magga, the Noble Eightfold Path, offered practical wisdom and tools to address these roots. Through right understanding and right thought, we gained clarity and aligned our intentions. Right speech, right action, and right livelihood brought integrity and harmony to our interactions with the world. Right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration trained and purified our minds, making them stable and perceptive. The practice of Buang Bo, letting go, liberated us from the heavy burdens of expectation and control. Understanding Vo Thung, impermanence, and Vo Nga, non-self, provided profound insight into the true nature of reality, eroding the foundation of fear and attachment. Cultivating to be compassion and he saw, Equanimity expanded our hearts beyond self-concern, leading to genuine connection and inner joy. And finally, embracing Songjan, done, simple living, became the external manifestation of this internal clarity and peace. Each of these steps is not an isolated technique, but a thread woven into the fabric of a truly awakened life. The path to lasting serenity is not about eradicating problems, for problems will always arise in a dynamic world. Instead, it is about transforming our relationship to them. It is about developing the inner capacity to meet every experience, pleasant or unpleasant, with an open heart, a clear mind, and an unwavering sense of peace. The inherent power within you. The most empowering message of this journey is that the capacity for lasting serenity already resides within you. It is not something you acquire from the outside. It is something you uncover, unveil, and cultivate from within. You possess the intrinsic ability to shift your perspective, to choose how you respond to life, and to generate your own profound sense of well-being. This is the ultimate meaning of happiness, is an inside job. It means you are not a victim of circumstances, but an empowered agent of your own inner peace. The path may seem challenging at times, requiring patience, persistence, and a willingness to look deeply at oneself. But the rewards are immeasurable, a life imbued with profound peace, unshakable resilience, boundless compassion, and a lasting joy that truly flows from the depths of your own cultivated wisdom. Conclusion: a call to embark on your own journey. This exploration is an invitation, not a prescription. It is a gentle nudge to embark on or deepen your own journey of inner discovery. Begin where you are, with even a few moments of mindful breathing, a conscious act of kindness, or a gentle willingness to let go of a small expectation. Each small step is a significant stride towards lasting serenity. May you find the courage to look within, the wisdom to see clearly, and the compassion to embrace yourself and all beings. May your path be illuminated by the lamp of mindfulness, steadied by the anchor of concentration, and guided by the profound liberation of letting go. For in this inner landscape, amidst the ever-changing tapestry of life, you will discover the unwavering wellspring of Unlakvianku, the enduring inner peace that is your true and natural inheritance. We've journeyed through the profound depths of Buddhist philosophy, a timeless wisdom that offers not just theories, but a practical roadmap for navigating the complexities of our existence. We began by acknowledging the universal human experience of suffering dukkha and its roots in our insatiable craving and attachment. Tanha, a truth keenly felt in the anxieties and relentless pace of modern life. From this honest assessment, we uncovered the revolutionary possibility of Nirodha, the cessation of suffering, and embarked on the noble eightfold path Magga, a systematic and holistic training of the mind and heart. Through right understanding and right thought, we laid the foundation of wisdom, learning to see reality with clearer eyes and cultivate wholesome intentions. Our words and deeds found integrity through right speech and right action. Extending harmony outward, we explored how to sustain ourselves ethically with right livelihood and fuel our transformation with persistent, balanced right effort. The very core of our practice blossomed with right mindfulness, teaching us to dwell fully in the present moment, and deepened into right concentration, bringing stability and clarity to our minds. With these tools, we learned the profound freedom of Buongbo, letting go, releasing the grip of attachment that binds us. We confronted the fundamental truths of Vo Thung impermanence and Vo Nga non-self, realizing that true peace lies in accepting reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Our hearts expanded through 2B loving kindness and Hai Za equanimity, dissolving the illusion of separation and embracing the interconnectedness of all beings. We understood Ting Thuk, awakening not as a distant ideal, but as the continuous process of living with eyes wide open, free from delusion. This profound internal shift then naturally manifested externally in Sungzan Dun living simply, creating space for Than Than serenity to pervade our lives. The overarching message, the very essence of this journey, resonates deeply. True peace and lasting happiness are not external destinations to be reached, but internal states to be cultivated. They are not dependent on accumulating more possessions, achieving more accolades, or controlling every aspect of our lives. Instead, peace is a state of mind, an inner sanctuary that we build through mindful awareness, compassionate understanding, and the courageous practice of letting go. It is the ability to find stillness within the movement, clarity amidst chaos, and contentment regardless of external conditions. Like an internal compass, it guides us not towards what we don't have, but towards the profound richness that already resides within our own being. This realization is not a burden, it is an immense empowerment. It means you are not a passive recipient of joy or sorrow, but an active architect of your own inner landscape. You have the inherent capacity, moment by moment, to choose how you respond to life's challenges, how you engage with its fleeting pleasures, and how deeply you connect with your own true nature. The path of wisdom isn't always easy, and the mind's old habits can be tenacious. There will be moments of struggle, distraction, and doubt, but know that each time you return to your breath, each time you choose kindness over anger, each time you consciously let go of an expectation, you are reinforcing the foundation of your inner peace. May this understanding serve as a guiding light on your own unfolding journey. May you find solace in the present moment, freedom in letting go, and boundless compassion in your heart. May you realize that the peace you seek is not hidden in some distant future, but is patiently waiting to be uncovered, here and now, within the depths of your own remarkable being. The work begins within, and the profound serenity you cultivate there will radiate outward, transforming your life and touching the lives of those around you.